Hello, one and all. Welcome to season 20 of some V8 Veterans action here on SimSpeed TV. We're here at the Fuji International Speedway for the first round of the 20th season of action here in this series. Crazy to think it's 20 seasons gone already, gone very, very quickly indeed. Should be a fascinating night of racing ahead. Obviously, Fuji, very, very interesting track. And a very different style of track for these kind of cars. Lots of sweeping corners that are going to really test the driver's mettle and patience in these V8 supercars. I'm Thomas Hinds, here tonight leading you through. Got Daniel Yeaman behind the scenes doing all the action with the cameras and directing. And alongside me is Mr. Scott Rankin. How are you going, Scott?
Yeah, good, mate. I think you hit the nail on the head there. You know, in terms of what this is going to ask of the drivers and ask of the cars, those long sweeping corners as well. But it's also about drive off that last corner, and that is so critical. The overtaking spots throughout the lap, they're actually quite minimal, but it's going to be all teeing it up to get a good run off that last corner. And if driven well, driven cleanly, and looked after that rear tyre, you can save a lot of fuel around here. Fuji Speedway as well, not too far from Tokyo. This is a lovely section of Japan to go to.
It sure is. It sure is. As we zoom in to have a look at the circuit details now. It's a track that we don't really see a huge amount internationally outside, of course. WEC, I believe, still runs it these days, but not known for V8 supercars, that's for sure. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how these guys handle it. 16 turns in total and 4.526 kilometers in length. Of course, the layout is very different now since it first launched in 1965. Since 2005, this is the layout we have now. Clockwise direction, and it's going to be a track that, as we say, it's a track we know for GTs and for prototypes, that kind of thing, sports cars like that. Not really for V8 supercars. So how the cars handle the especially that last sector, those really waiting corners on the throttle, getting that run onto that main straight to get a really, really big overtaking opportunity into turn one. And next up, we can look at the details for the first race of this season and see the lap count. We'll go the driver rating first. So we've got the rating scale. We've got the scale of 1 to 5 there, very low of course for 1, very high for 5. So tyre wear 2.95, so about in the middle there, which sounds about right for this circuit. You know, you've got obviously a few higher speed corners, but a lot of lower speed stuff at the back end of the track, which obviously isn't going to quite wear them as bad. Fuel saving ability 3.19. Obviously, turn one, massive opportunity to fuel save there, and a couple of the big ones there to save fuel later on the lap. Race strategy 3.14. Obviously, starting fuel, as we'll see later, 50 litres, but refuel up to full tank with the mandatory two stops required. So a bit of strategy involved there. Particularly with, again, fuel saving being a big factor. Overtaking opportunities, we've got 3.38. Again, turn one, massive dive bomb territory there. I'm sure we'll see a few of those tonight. And you've got some other areas of the track as well that line up some beautiful overtaking opportunities. Track difficulty 3.86. Again, sounds about right. I haven't actually driven the supercar around here, to be honest, but that sounds about right for just these really, any track with big sweeping corners like this. Lots of patience on the throttle. Really got to get your trail braking down right. That's going to be key for making the lap time tonight. And confidence level 3.14. That sounds about right in the middle of the range for this track. Very consistent ratings there, Scott. They sound about right to me.
Yeah, I'd also say it's probably, you know, prep levels for the start of a new season. You know, drivers have taken, you know, a good couple of weeks off, got a little bit of a break, and you know, relaxed a little bit. The big key for me is the strategy variety. You know, we're a little bit above average. If you say 2.5s down the middle, you know, in terms of what's actually available to, and the overtaking opportunities, I'd say the track difficulties that I wasn't expecting to see a 3.8. I was expecting maybe about a 3.1, maybe a touch under 3. So that's about the only number that sort of jumped out and shocked me straight away. But yeah, in terms of race info as well, it's an interesting little track. Lots of passing opportunities. 45 laps, distance of 200 laps. And you've got to remember, because you're new to the series here, Henzy, as well, 2 compulsory pit stops whereby you must go up on the jacks. So you can't just pull up in your bay and go again. No, got to pull up, go on the jacks. V8 supercars, tyre wear, right? So fuel in the range are going to be about 100 to 108 litres as well. So
that's it. And yeah, that's exactly right. And as you just alluded to, you've got the CPS rules, 2 compulsory pit stops that need to be taken at the start, the end of lap 2. Of course, if the safety car comes out on lap 1, that will change. They have to wait till the safety car comes in before they can get their stop done. So only do 1 CPS under a safety car period. And obviously penalty for not doing it is just a straight DQ, of course, because that is just the bare rule there of that. And it's total fuel. We've got as I said earlier on, starting fuel 50 litres, but the refuel capacity is to full. So it gives them a bit of leeway there for what they want to do, how much fuel they want to add. They want to short fuel early, long fuel early, which way they want to go. They've got a bit of a leeway on that one. Fuel burn about 3.35 to 3.5 litres a lap. Total fuel add about 101 to 108 litres. Of course, that fuel burn will be very interesting to see. As I said, as we saw in the graphic, there is plenty of opportunities there for fuel saving. So that number could change. You could see some interesting strategies playing out on that one. And the critical lap for getting that second stop to get home is lap 12 to 14. And as you can see there's the strategies. And that's what I'm talking about with those strategies. Do you pit early, get a really early stop in, fuel there, sort of go to the middle, fuel again and go? Or do you go long? Or do you go for a long one, fuel a bit more? And sort of play around with the strategies there. So it's, again, all depends on traffic. Guys at the front might try and hang it out a bit longer. Guys further in the pack might look coming early, getting the early stop done, getting themselves out of traffic and getting some clean air. So it's going to be fascinating to see what the strategies play out, especially with the fuel, Scott. I think that's going to be a really important thing tonight.
Yeah, fuel's really interesting, actually. If you have a look at what's going on in seasons gone by, the guys that have actually got it right is actually Travis Hunt and Jeff Thomas is the other guy, and they tend to run very light at their first stop, not take a huge deal of fuel on. The car's actually really balanced around the starting fuel, so generally not going and filling the tank. What a lot of problems that they're having is because you can't tinker with the bars on a fixed set, you just can't get that point and shoot back in the car. So making sure that you keep the car very, very balanced. The guys that fill the tank struggle, lose a lot of track position, never get it back, because then they burn the fronts off in that next sort of run. So it's about managing that. You've got to keep yourself open and options. I think one of the big keys as well is track position. Around here, that's not going to be as much, but what it does allow you to do is get away from a group of cars that really want to battle. You've got to make sure you get yourself ahead of them. If you can't get ahead of them, maximum save straight away will be the race strategy in terms of things. It's going to be a long, interesting season, though, and I think that compulsory pit stop rule has sort of changed things a little bit, but it's coming in.
Yeah, exactly right. I think you got a point that it'll be interesting, that compulsory pit stops, what that does for the season. So season 20 schedule, we've got Fuji, of course, no chicane's first race today. Detroit Belle Isle for the second one, that's 2 sprint races. Then it's Road America for a 250k race, into Lagos for 200ks, another 200. So I think it was at 3 200s on the trot with Daytona and then Monza as well. Then you got 250 again at Imola. Then the Enduro round, 300 kilometers at Spa. That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for the championship. Road Atlanta with a 150k race there, and then rounding out with a 250k race at Sandown. Pretty great way to end the season, I would say there. Fantastic track, obviously. Legendary for supercars and all that sort of stuff. So going to be a fascinating season. It's very interesting track choices to me. Some more traditional ones you'd expect. Sandown's obviously a classic staple of supercars. Road America's been a lot of schedules for supercars. Road Atlanta, Detroit's basically Adelaide, we may as well say, for supercars' sake, until we get one, please iRacing. And so but there's some tracks there which a bit different to normal to me. Obviously Fuji, I think, is one to start with. It's a bit different than what we normally expect. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, as you say, the compulsory stops will be interesting today to see how people handle that. And we'll see how it all plays out. But I'm fascinated to see how Detroit goes next round, though, Scott, because I feel that's a totally different ball game to what we have here tonight.
Well, the big key is that we actually haven't had a sprint race in the last couple of seasons. In the last 5 seasons, we actually haven't had a sprint race round. So I think this is what this is about from a league perspective, is if you sit down and you think about it, it's going, what creates good racing? What creates good opportunities? What creates good drama? And sprint races offer a lot of that, but you've got to do it at the right circuit. Is Detroit Belle Isle the opportunity for a good sprint race? Pro Series suggests it is. It created a huge amount of drama, good drama, reasonable racing. Detroit Belle Isle is also going to be the race with the biggest incidents. So what they're actually doing here by taking Detroit Belle Isle and splitting that into sprint races is, if you say, my first 100 kilometers is done, there's nothing I can do about that, you get a second bite at the cherry. And that's even after a fast repair. So if for some reason it happens, the big one at Detroit Belle Isle happens right in front of you, you've got an opportunity to get yourself back into the race. Your race isn't done, the night isn't over. Something else happens again, mate, that's street circuit racing, it does happen. and that's your first one over, even after the fast repair, you do still have that second bite at the cherry. And a fast repair in both of those races as well is going to be quite key. One longer round, I think that's been by drivers' request as well, which I agree with. The 300-kilometer races are a very, very long night at the office, and particularly for, when we're looking at an older driver community, focus level's not as high as a lot of the younger guys, and we're not here for a grind. We're here for a little bit of fun and splash in the tank. I'll always preach it. I love this league. The characters, the philosophy of it's all right. What are we catering to? We're catering to a right driver market, and they tick a lot of those boxes. So.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's 300 k's. As you say, you're right. 300 k's is a long day at the office. It especially in supercars because they're just so demanding cars, and again, especially a track like Spa, it's going to be a very demanding round, that one. And whoever does well, they're going to have definitely earned those points they get. That's for sure. So I think, speaking of personalities, we may as well have a look at the driver wall and have a look at who's in the Zoom call. And
did I just see Sean McNamara yawning already?
Sean, you've got a long way to go, mate. There's 200 k's still left. Probably a bit early to be yawning, but anyway. So there's your wall there, and we'll go from top left to right and go down the row. So we've got Dean Flavel on the top left, Glenn Colbert in the next one across. I actually can't tell that. Scott Gamble, it's Scotty Gamble, yep, in the next one there, our defending champion. On pole 2 here tonight by the looks of it. Jeff Thomas next. Then we've got Travis Hunt, David Kirby, Christopher Blanchard, Sean at the yawning, apparently tired, Sean McNamara. Then I think that is Michael Stewart, I believe, or Matt Stewart, I think there. And then you got Michael Stewart. Then you got Jason Fewens. I don't know who that is there. Got connecting audio, so they've just connected. Then I believe that's Blake Delaney, I'm going to say there. Chad Lewis and Dan Hall. So a packed Zoom call tonight. And I believe, and yes, well, I was about to say, I believe part of that could be, I think there's some points on offer if drivers can be on the Zoom call now. So that's a new thing for this season. Season 20 points, there has been a little bit of an update on the last season. Of course, must complete 75% of the race to score points. 2 drop rounds for season 20, of course, can't drop the final round. And there's your point scheme, points all the way down the field. So obviously, as per, I think Scops is the exact same, where points obviously go down to pretty much the bottom. So as long as you can get to that 75%, you will get points, which is why it is so important. If you do get wrecked out or if you have issues, it is still worth going to the end because you could still get some points. And obviously, end of the season, every point matters, as we know. And that can be crucial to getting you some spots and potentially a championship, depending on where you're fighting in the field. Plenty of bonus points as well in this series, though, which is different to others. Bits of IndyCar-esque in that regard. We've got pole position, 1 point. Fastest lap, 1 point. Although you must be in the top 10, a la F1. Finish no entrance, you get 2 points. Lead any lap, 1 point. Lead the lap, most laps, 1 point. And as I mentioned, new one for this season, if you join the Zoom call, you get 1 point. So I'm looking forward to the next round, Scott, when we see about a 50-car driver wall in the Zoom call.
Well, yeah, 1 point's going to be really, really important, but it's time for tonight's pole position, and that's gone to last season's champion Scott Gamble. One of his long-term rivals, Ken Latta, will be off alongside of him. Back to row number 2, and it's going to be Jeff Thomas and Michael Whiting on row number 2. Jeff Thomas is one of his better qualifying performances right from the get-go. Jason Strange and Matt Van der Kraan are going to make up row number 3. In behind them, there was the man that was already yawning. It's going to be a long night for him. Sean McNamara off alongside of Craig Friend. Luke Grundle and Michael Stewart also on the Zoom call. Round out your top 10, Hinsey.
Next up, it's going to be Stephen Kennedy and Brad Doble for 11th and 12th. Blake Delaney and Chris Miller. Dan Hall and Blake Delaney will be 13th, 14th. Then with Chris Miller and Dean Flavel on the next row. Travis Hunt and Brendan Nishke will be 17th and 18th, with Chad Lewis and Paul Warwick running at top 20.
From there, Christian Smart, Scotty Van Loon, Jason Fewens, Mark Poynton makes 24th, Paul Burns and Damien Cairns 25th, 26th, Greg Sharp and Stewie Hall 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, Stone Street and Stephen Varga, David Kirby all the way back in 31st, long way back for him, Cliff Blanchard, Glenn Corbett, Robert Crisdale, Darren Crosby, Darren Goosey, David Nash, Shane Rendels, Robbie Griffiths. In behind them will be Jamie Knight. Michael Talianchi coming from the rear of the field. He's doing a no qualifying run. Jim Caparonis as well. Gary Buckland. Scott McCune all the way down to 44th. He'll be unhappy when back in the comms box. And Halil Cesar and Mario Reale are going to round out a back end of the grid. 46 cars, Hinsey. Big, big grid. And we are moments away from green flag.
Exactly, yeah. Plenty of cars, so we will see what that brings for the racing today. We're about to go racing here for Season 20 of the V8 Veterans Series. The revs rise. We're ready to go here at the Fuji Speedway. Who's going to get the jump? It's a long run down to T1. You do not want to stuff that up to start this race. And there away, Gamble gets a really nice start. He's already leaking away from the field. Henlatter having to go defensive, is he? Or is he going to leave the door open? He goes middle of the road as they all spread out across the track. As you can see, nearly 5 wide. As all down behind them, there's some dramas there further in the field. And there's a spinner. It's Sean McNamara is already rounded to T1, and they all start piling in to the area of turn. I think they actually managed to mostly avoid him. That is incredible driving from everybody to mostly avoid incidents there. And I think we managed to get through that largely unscathed, Scott.
Well, I did hear some contact. There's contact on the front end of Sean McNamara and quite heavy. And the other thing to remember as well, Hinsey, this is the first time for the Vets drivers on the new damage model. The pros have already had a crack at it, but this is their first opportunity for it. There's no damage on the back end of his car. Chaos at the Coca-Cola corner.
Yes, there is. I can see now some cars recovering from incidents. Yeah, look at them all. They're all scattered everywhere. Someone's gone off. There's one that's crabbing around the corner. There's some big damage. Oh, it's Darren Grosby. They look at, oh my goodness, that is an insane image to look at. That's at least about, got to be 90 degrees or more of steering angle. That is insane, the damage on that car. So dramas early on here in this first round. We had a really good first race, first corner, but unfortunately, I'm just watching another spinner. Mark Poynton's gone around all on his own as well. So dramas here in the first lap. We started well in the first corner, got a bit of a false security, and now that we've got into it proper, that's where the dramas kicked off.
Yeah, and then it's still continuing on. I just went on and had a look at what the damage was to Crosby, and it was actually like 110, 120 degrees worth of steering lock. It was well past 90, like you wouldn't believe. And now they're going to try and find their way in here, and that's the key. 48 cars, a lot of opportunity to get overtaking, but you've got to survive lap number 1. The big mover on lap number 1, it was always going to be one of the guys that competes in the Pro Series was from the rear end of the field, and it was Michael Taliancic. He has managed to make a bunch of spots on lap number 1. He's going to keep making them up as well. 41st to 30th on lap 1, 11 gained on lap 1.
That's a very, very impressive driving there the first lap, especially to dodge all that drama that he would have been happening right in front of me. I just saw in the background someone else just spun in turn 1 as well. Yeah.
No. You have no idea, Thomas Hins. What they've just done. So since I've joined the commentary box, the most unlucky man in V8 Veterans history is on screen right now. It's Scott McCune. And it's because I've joined the commentary box.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, well, Dan, what our producer has done is put him on screen to let him know that I'm back in the commentary box.
All right, so we know he knows what to expect now. Looking back, when he gets torpedoed, he'll be like, Scott was in the commentary box. I know why now. I know what happened. I've got it now. So, but he is, I believe, actually the biggest mover right now. Actually ahead of Mike. So he's had a blinding start from 44th to 26th. So fingers crossed he can crack that bad luck with you in the comments box. Let's hope that it all goes well for him because he's had an amazing start. But yeah, it's been a pretty hectic start to this one as we saw that first lap. Plenty of dramas early on. Got to the first corner, but then it all kicked off beyond that. But despite all those dramas, Scotty Gamble still leads, but not very far ahead of Ken Latta. He's only half a second back, and he is hanging with him very well actually. I think he might have just gone a little bit faster. He did. Fastest lap of the race goes to Kenneth Latta on that lap with a 1:35.264. So that draft is going to be helping a lot in keeping him there, and that will be the key for him, I think. If these lead guys can keep with Scotty on these opening laps, save some fuel, that could really get them in this lead fight to actually take it to him later in the race with that better fuel economy.
Yeah, it's going to be massive, and I think there's a couple of shots. We're going to have, I don't know how many replays, but see the cars jumping in the pit lane. Brad Doble, David Nash, Scotty Van Loon, Darren Crosby. Van Loon was about 20 or 30 degrees right hand down as well, so he was pretty impacted. He's just come back from a trip around Europe as well, so all the other league admins were complaining in his absence. Oh man, Van Loon in between the seasons, we've got all this admin to do. He runs off to Europe, how dare he? No, he's back and he's in the cockpit again, which is good to see. He had a torrid end to last season. I don't think he finished one of the last 3 or 4 races of last season.
I'd say it's a shame, but at least he had a nice break, I suppose, between seasons. We've got a first penalty coming in, Luke Rundell, the black flag, I'm guessing. For
McNamara, I think.
Yeah, that'd be if he had the first corner with McNamara, so he's already been handed the first black flag of the races of what we would assume maybe a couple more, depending on what happened on that first lap exactly and who kicked off what. But yeah, it's been a great start to this race, and it's interesting to see these strategies playing out. It's interesting to me that Scotty not really getting away. He's gotten away with it this lap. He's managed to get Kenny a little bit, but he's not galloping away as much as I suspected he might do. So at the moment, Ken is sort of keeping him honest. Jeff Thomas behind two. Got a replay up now of that first orange. This is Scott McNamara, Luke Rundell down the inside, and you can see there, it's just too many cars going into too small of a space there. It's about 4 cars trying to fit into a space that can maybe fit 1. So we can see what the issue was there and why that triggered that, and we'll see if hopefully we can have a look here at what happened further down. Oh wow, big checkup. Wow, so massive checkup. Oh,
that's what triggered it. But then watch this. Wow. Glenn Corbett that gets rotated here. Watch him.
Oh goodness me! And then just look at that. That is crazy. Just pandemonium. Everyone's scattering everywhere. And I guess, if anything, I think drivers will be happy they're here for this week that happened, and not at the next round at Belle Isle, because that would be a track blockage in Belle Isle. So they'll be hoping that it doesn't happen there. But you can see there. Look at that. It's just stacks on the mill. Everyone trying to dodge it as best they can. Credit to the field, that could have been much worse, I feel. So they did pretty well to minimise that to only a few cars.
Well, the difficulty is Glenn Corbett was actually off the track. When he initially got spun, he was off the track, so he's getting a penalty for sure for not holding his brakes. So there's 2 big things as a result of that. Crosby had nowhere to go. There's a car literally just not on the brakes. It comes straight back across the track. So they will absolutely, Glenn Corbett will get penalised for that every day of the week. That is a big no-no, because it's effectively ruined Darren Crosby's night, and all he had to do was hold his brakes. That's it. So that's a big no-no. So there was the lap 1 stuff, which is what Grundell got returned for. I mean, there was just not a hole there, and he kept trying to get down and fill the hole. And then there's just been more dropouts as well.
Yeah, Rundell there just into turn 1, a little bit of drifting through turn 1. Did pretty well to catch that actually, and that was the second lap there. So that's pretty much all the incidents on the first lap. So honestly, not too bad, especially for the first race of new season. New guys in the top split, obviously, the people will be racing with that they haven't raced before, etc. So pretty impressive, I think, to be honest. Not too bad at all for a first season. I've certainly seen worse. So while we were looking at all that, we did have Sean McNamara actually have a drop due to packet loss. So he's just rejoined. So he's going to obviously be down the back of the field now. So big shame for Sean. His night just not going well. Gets spun at turn 1, and then his internet decides that it doesn't want to play ball. So not a good night for Sean, but he'll obviously be trying to get back out there and salvage some points from this round. I'm actually just looking, 4-car battle, 2x2 here at the moment. This is for P5 with Matt Van der Grand, Dan Hall in there. And I think Van der Grand's got it. Dan Hall now moves in behind him, and Whiting, under pressure from Chris Miller, pushes him wide. And this has brought more people. It's now Travis Hunt nearly in there, Stephen Kennedy and Chris Miller in this battle. So big battle here at the back end of the tank.
Yeah, so it's Jason Strange that's in the Vermilion Sim Sports livery who's just got ahead of Michael Whiting. So that's who was trying to get down the inside of Whiting. So I don't think Whiting's going to necessarily be all that happy about it. Miller's car now just steps sideways as well. Kennedy's going to try and get to the inside. The last corner makes contact with Miller. But so it's going to be settle yourself in. And one of the big keys, remember, is, lap 1, I think you hit the nail on the head. It wouldn't surprise me to see Race Control just be a little bit more aggressive with the penalties. A couple reasons for that. New change to the way that promotions are done, because we've got 3 splits here at the Vets, remember, as well. Now the new rule is 10 up, 10 down. So split 1 loses 10 drivers back to split 2. Split 2 gives 10 drivers to split 1. So that means we've had the highest amount of drivers racing each other for the first time, or for the first time in a while, as well as Travis Hunt's looking at the battle graph that he's sort of going on with. That changes driving behavior. Generally, and I know you'll back this up as well, Hinsey, generally when you've raced against someone for an extended period of time, you know how they drive. If you just know that driver that's going to dive bomb a lot more often, you know how to race around those guys, you really know how to pilot that lap 1 sort of situation, you get a little bit more confidence and comfort. Well, when you're racing around new guys, you lose that, and that's what we're seeing, I think, here tonight. There's definitely some additional bits and pieces. There's some stuff that I don't like that's happened that I wouldn't like to see anywhere, but I would say you're seeing a little bit more aggressive with some of the guys, particularly further down, that aren't around each other.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, it's definitely do adjust how you race. When you race people who've raced for years, you can be, especially those that you can race hard with but clean. I've found I do a lot with guys I know that I have that rapport with, that I'll be able to race them really, really hard, really push, lean on each other a little bit, but you know that you're not going to overset the mark. But it's when you're racing people you don't really know, that's where it gets a bit interesting. You're not quite as confident. You don't want to do those kind of 9-10 moves just because you don't quite know how they're going to react. Like, are they going to give me the room? Are they going to do this? You have to be a bit more wary. And I think you're right, further down the field we are seeing that. But I'll tell you what, Jason Strange has quite the train of cars behind him now. Dan Hall's been attacking relentlessly this whole time. I think this, look at that, this train goes down to probably about 20th, I think, or so. This is a massive train as Dan Hall gets the draft down the inside. Probably going to have it done before T1. It's such a long straight. Are we going to make it 3 wide? Are we going to do it? Chris Miller doesn't do it. He just makes the smart call and doesn't do it. He's going to try and follow Dan through, and he does. Wow, Jason losing 2 in 1 spot straight off the bat through turn 1. And look at that line of cars all waiting to jump in as well. But it's a good point you said earlier, Scott, that I was meant to mention, I remember before the broadcast, but I forgot to mention it once we started, was that new damage model. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays a part in the racing. Because from what I understand, it's a bit more closer to real life where they can't quite take the beating that you could say they sometimes could with the old damage model. You definitely could still get some pretty bad damage relatively easily with the old damage model, but I think the new one, it's a bit closer to reality from what I understand. And that, yeah, you can rub a little bit, but you can't do anything particularly dumb in that regard, or else you will pay for it with the damage.
Yeah, one of the big keys of that new damage model as well is steering damage, and we've already seen that thus far. You weren't getting steering damage anywhere near as often on the old damage model. This new damage model, you're seeing it quite a lot more, and that's the big thing. Particularly wheel-to-wheel contact. The wheels currently, as it stands, I don't think there's been an adjustment to this yet, but there will be one planned because iRacing weren't actually aware that this was a problem. They have been now made aware, and it was actually part of the veterans community that did kind of bring that to the fore. Is that the wheel itself sticks a little bit out of the guard, whereas in real life that's actually not the case. The guard actually extends a little bit further out than the wheel, and yeah, so that's triggering wheel contact before it's triggering guard contact, and that's what's causing a lot of the front wheel issues in particular. So that's just a little tidbit on that, but yeah, it's a big adjustment. It's a huge adjustment to go to racing on the new damage model.
It is, yeah, definitely. And yeah, that does make sense. I was seeing people talking about damage with the wheels, and I was wondering how that would be, because obviously we see a lot of rubbing in the real world supercars, but that makes sense. If it is a bit of a difference there between the two, that would explain where that's come from. But we have a look. Scotty Gamble still leading this one, got a second gap over Ken Ladder. Him, Ken and Jeff, all a little bit of a gap, about a second between them. They're all just sort of holding station right now, as you see the onboard here from Scott, working hard to keep that lead and try and really replicate the just insane pace and dominance he showed last season into this year is what his goal will be. No stoppers yet in the front lot that I've seen, so everyone still hanging out for now. And it's going to be a fascinating one for who pulls the trigger first, whether it will be one of the lead guys or someone further back in the pack. I would think that you would think that in that massive pack back there, there's got to be some heavy fuel saving going on, or at least that's probably what I would be doing if I was in that pack at the back end of the 10 and into the early teens. Would be just massive fuel save, especially if you're not really making the positions very quickly. Get that fuel save going, just save, because you can then gain a few spots, if not more, from doing that alone. As I think, as I speak, I might have just spoken it into reality, but no, okay, don't worry, he's just breaking the draft. Scott thought he was going for it, but no, he's just breaking the draft there on Ken and Ladder. So, but I think he's actually got that over a second now, as he knows, 8/10. So yeah, Ken, credits to Ken, he is keeping Scott on us. I see some moving further back. Who is that? That is Michael Whiting, I think, getting past. Michael Whiting. Oh, it's lap cars. Sorry, I thought I saw some heavy defense, but it was just lap car getting out of the way, so my bad there. But yeah, really good battles here further back at the in this teens. And I think we got side by side with, I think that's Travis Hunt again. He's actually got by Stephen Candy now, I believe. He has at turn 1, so he's through. And that was Jason Fewens having a look at Craig Friend, I believe. So he's now got Chad Lewis behind him. So plenty of scuffling going on in the midfield. All further back there, I just saw some side-by-side with one of the fishy cars. Who was that? It was Paul Warwick, I think, getting past Damien Cairns there into the little left-hand kink. That's a brave move there.
Yeah, brave, but you got to do that. If I think one of the bigger times to actually pull moves like that, and you're actually going to see Nitschke and Chad Lewis go side by side as they come off turn 6 and get themselves sort of settled in. Nitschke was looking for a move down the inside of Chad Lewis. This kink here, not an overtaking opportunity. If it was the chicane, yeah, it's probably a little bit of an overtake. Oh, there's a car in the fence on the right-hand side. Michael Whiting in the fence.
Oh, one low, and that's a big hit too. That front end is completely ripped off that car, and that is just all on his own too. He's lost it all on his own, and that is a massive damage to that car. That is, I think a tire's down too. Looks like the front right is completely gone. So first real prime example of the new damage model there. First big hit that's really showing it. You can see that front right, the whole front axle, the looks of it, is completely broken. And
yeah, he's done. That's a fast one.
Yeah. He's trying to limp it back. He's going to have to wait for pretty much the whole field here because he's struggling to keep that car straight. So big shame for Michael. He's running well in the top 5. We see here on the RaceKraft replay, it's just all on his own. Too much curve on the inside, bounces the car up, unsettles the car, and then straight off into the fence. And you know, if that was a tyre barrier, he probably may have got away with that, but because that's straight arm coat, yeah, that's all she wrote, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's frustrating for him. I mean, like you said, he actually picked up grass. Oh, he bounces off the wall, ping-pongs off the wall. There actually is a penalty for unsafe pit lane entry as well. And yeah. I'm just looking around the field. I just heard somebody massively fuel saving. It's either Blake Delaney or it's Brenton Nitschke. One of the two of them was just on the clutch for an extended period of time. So Coca-Cola Corners turn 3. You basically come off turn 3 and never touch the throttle. Just put his foot in the clutch the whole way around that long sweeping right-hander.
Yeah, it's I guess you could quote, and I'd tell you right now, it is Blake Delaney. I've just gone on board myself, and he just fuel saved into the kink. So Delaney he's behind Dean Flavel right now, and he's obviously thinking, well, pace is okay. I don't need to be doing anything dumb right now. It's still early on, still only 10 laps in out of 45. No need to do anything stupid. Let's do some fuel save, and he's doing it there. He did it there again. So yeah, as you say, as to quote, I believe Scafey would say, as gamesmanship as Scafey would say. We really should be saying too many Scafey quotes, but we will for this one. So, but he's yeah, on the fuel save already. I'm interested to watch this. I just want to see how much he's going to save here, because obviously, as we know, big long straight. You could probably lift nearly halfway down the straight if you're going off a gap. So we'll just have a look here and see just how much is he going to lift here, because this is obviously as you said, turn 3, but here's another massive opportunity for the fuel save.
McCune, no! Scott McCune just had a packet loss.
Oh no!
No.
Oh. That's unfortunately the curse seems to continue. I can't believe that has continued. That's crazy. That's really crazy. That's actually crazy. But it wasn't even a crash or anything. It was the internet. It's like it hurt it.
Delaney sitting inside an H-key.
Yeah. Oh, that's brave into the kink. Flavel very clearly very clearly saying no thank you on that one. But yeah, had to go, but he's not quite there. This has left him a little vulnerable now to Dean Flavel, who's behind him. Sorry, my bad on that one. Christian Smart also looking keen there, but yeah, big shame for Scott McCune there to have that. He had such a good start. And
I can't believe that.
I know. And then, of course, the internet gods go, as they always do, they always pick the time when you really don't need it. They go, oh, I see you're having a really good race. That's great. Let's just disconnect and ruin that for you. Thank you very much. Classic into there is, we can see here, while we've been looking away, Scott Gamble under the pump here from Ken Ladder. He has brought that gap right back down, and he is all over him now as they head onto the main straight.
Yeah, so Ladder could have been going hard at the fuel saving early, and now he's sort of trying to close back up and try and bring that gap down. It's going to be really, really interesting, because the issue is he's going to save so much more fuel. And he's already lifting off. By the way, he's lifting off. Ken Ladder has sort of got to about this 10th and a half margin, and he's just sat there, lifted, and let them go.
I mean, that is the play. I mean, he's in the perfect spot. He's behind the quickest car in the field, literally right behind him. And if he just stays behind him, he could save, especially doing that, he could save, geez, at least probably near 10 litres, honestly, depending on how much he does. He could save a lot of fuel and really get a massive jump in the stops, which is definitely what I'd be doing right now. That is the smart play right now. Obviously, it's easy to get tempted into just sending it, as they say, and just getting that race mentality. But especially in these races where there is that pit stop involved and there is that strategy with the fuel involved, the smart play really is just use that pace. You know, we know how quick he is, as he showed last season. So no need to be fighting him, and not only wasting your time, but then bringing other cars further back into it. All you're doing is bleeding you both time and using more fuel, more tyres. It's just a net loss. So it's better off to play the smart game and do it that way. As we can see, I think Travis Hunt, Jason Funes, Shane Randell, and Mike Taliantit's in the lane. So already got our first stoppers happening now. And what lap is it? Lap 12 of this race. So earlier, they're the earliest ones. We'll see, as you can see by the pit stops times, some differences in the fuel level taken there as well, which, as we said, will be interesting to see what plays out in that strategy as we look at Michael Stewart on board with the VR as well, which certainly maximum immersion helped as well by the new damage wall for this one.
I actually saw some articles and some stuff written about VR. I think it was a Driver 61. I'm always watching Driver 61 videos at the moment. But one of the things that they said was a lot of the pro drivers are actually, initially there was this huge surge on VR in terms of its popularity. It became very, very big very early on. Immersion was one of those key aspects. What they actually found, though, was that your professional level guys, the guys right at the top end of the level, actually were getting slower by using VR. and they couldn't figure out what's going on initially. What it was is VR is actually a lot more difficult to pick up your precise braking points because you don't have a consistent perspective all the time because you're moving around a little bit. With monitors, it's actually a lot more easy to pick up your surroundings. Provided you've got triples, singles is very, very difficult. Single normal size monitor, very difficult to pick up what's around you battle pack wise, but for your braking markers you're still quite okay to pick that sort of stuff up. But yeah, they said the pro drivers are actually swinging away from VR again, but each to their own. You know, I like it from I haven't used it for my own racing, but I really like VR as an opportunity. I want to get into VR cricket though. Jake Kennedy and I were actually having a chat about that today.
I was gonna say I've seen this guy on I think I saw him on, might have been TikTok or something, and he does that VR cricket content. And it did look very, very fun. I was watching it going, I hear into that. That's fun, because I don't have to actually go out and play. I could just sit in my living room and hit up a ton, and then there you go. I
was keeping it for keeping me in shape and keeping the rhythm going and, you know, balance, weight and everything for going into the cricket season, man, you know.
That's a fair point. I did, yeah. My night job as a baker kind of does the fitness for me, so I don't really. It's coming back and doing more fitness is not really on my mind. But
point from Jamie Dyke in the YouTube, you don't have to run threes in VR cricket. So. True. That is a good point. Yeah, yep. I didn't think of that. Yeah, but yeah, it does definitely look fun as we. It's a bit of a move at the front here. I believe that might be. Was that someone? No, it was another lap car. It's someone using the pits is what it was. That's what it was. So, and that's another thing we're interesting here is we've got cars coming out into the lead car battle here. I don't know who that is actually there. It's one of the super cheap cars. That's Greg Sharp and Michael Whiting. Yeah, they just came out with the leaders. So, and they're battling for position here too. So that's another little facet, I suppose, of this race is, you know, in these early stops, while leaders stay out, if they stay out long, which they probably will, I think leaders might stay out a bit longer on this one, seeing as you've got the track position, you've got the clean air, may as well use it. You're going to have people who are a bit further back pitting and possibly coming out into the lead cars, so that's going to make it interesting there. Ken still hanging off the back of Scott Gamble. Jeff Thomas now, though, look at that, he has crept up, and it's now a 3-car fight at the front of the field. And yeah, they are all line astern, and it's a bit of a gap back to Matt Van der Kraan. And he's got and these are cars who are pitted behind him, so it's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. We've got cars here that have pitted, that have plucked themselves into these little gaps just to really confuse us here at the moment. But yeah, it's an interesting time of this race. We're in that period where some are pitting, some aren't. And then the other thing you got to think about as well is, you know, Michael Whiting and those guys they're on fresh rubber, so they're going to be faster than these guys. But here we go, pits beginning, the top three all in at the same time. So let's see who goes less fuel. This will be, and yeah, it looks like Jeff Thomas. Yeah, I think he did actually hit. He's hit Ken Lauder in the pit entrance, and that's a decent scuff mark on the front of that car. So hopefully, for his sake, that'll be straight line. That will be straight line damage. That's enough for straight line damage now. Definitely,
yeah. So hopefully, for his sake, he can get that repaired. I don't know if you want to don't want to use the fast repair too early, obviously, but yeah, that's a big shame there for that. But let's see who, and you can see, look behind, there is a whole heap of them in the pit lane. So a lot of the field pitting on this lap 15 of the race, 1/3 race distance, nice and even, which might be what a lot of people do. They might just get a nice even split of stints, even out the tyre wear, so they're not having to worry about a slower pace in one particular stint. But they're all up on the jacks now. Let's have a look at who is out first. I see in the background, I think it's Dan Hall's already on the way out, so I think he's done pretty light fuel. Jeff Thomas is down, and he's going to take the lead. So Jeff Thomas going for the shorter fuel than Scott and Ken. It looks like they both went basically the same fuel because they've stayed line astern. So Jeff Thomas goes the short fuel, so he gets a gap. The question is that going to work later on the race?
Well, the tricky part is how much is that damage going to cost him? Because if that damage kills him in terms of straight line speed, well, this doesn't matter. This is educational. He'll always finish third here. But what he's looking for, he's now leading the fuel strategy race from Jeff. And remember what I said at the top of the show? They've done that. They've done that the last couple of seasons. So he popped out about 3.2 seconds-ish over Scott Gamble once they equalised down at turn 1. So anything he gains from that is actually the lighter fuel load. So remember, lighter fuel load, quicker in a straight line. Car turns better, car rotates better, less body rolls. So you actually are quicker, particularly in a car where you've got a little bit of tyre fall off, but you've got to cover off that extra amount of fuel that you've got to dump. And he was right on the back of that lead too. If he makes any gain out of this right here, that is net gain. He leads the race. He only needs to find about 0.7 of a second to lead the race.
Exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, he's just got to get that gain to cover that fuel that he didn't get. that the guys behind him have taken. More in the lane as well. Chris Miller, Michael Stewart, I think
that's everyone.
Yeah, everyone ahead. Yeah, wow, look at them all. They're all streaming in the lane. So rest of the front of the field. Yeah, this is, I believe, the edge of their tank on that 50 litres, as Dan was just telling me in the background. So that should be the rest of the field that hasn't pitted. Should be in now, as we can see. Busy pit lane. Look at that, so many cars in the lane. But it is now, as we say, Jeff Thomas leading from Scott Gamble and Ken Latter. They still stay the same. So Ken still gets the beauty of this fuel save. He could fuel save this all the way till the end, and that's probably what he's going to do. Fuel save behind Scott, I would say, he had a half look, but he didn't. He's backed out again, so he's going to keep fuel saving. And that is the play. If he fuel saves, it's Travis Hunt nearly rear ends Ken Latter there. That was so close to contact. I think Dan Hall is going to get him here as he recovers. That was so close. I think he just avoided contact. Just. That was so close to contact with this.
He just knows he's deep.
Oh, yeah, he saw it very early on. He's like, I've gone in way too hot. But nothing he could do but just try and get it stopped. And good job in the end to get that stop and to dodge contact. That was some very, very good driving from Travis there to dodge that one. That was very close to being a disaster for both of them for that one. So good stuff there. But yeah, Ken's in a great spot. So if he plays this right, this could work out very well for him, because if he can just sit behind Scott now, fuel save this whole stint, he could put in a massive amount less fuel than Scott does in this next stop and really get a massive gap on that all-important last stint. So we'll see what happens, but that's what I would say will be going on with Ken now. It'll be always going through his mind, but let's see how it actually plays out. You never know, as they've got a lap car lead in front of him, Scotty Van Loon, in front of them at the moment. We'll see if he should hopefully get out of the way pretty quickly, I would say. But yeah, the blue flag rules, of course, are in play. Looking back through the field, though, just having a look at some of the battles we have. We've got Jason Pewins, Michael Stewart, Stephen Candy and Craig Friend also battling away there as well. Some good battles in that midfield. And yeah, I'm very interested to see how this all plays out now, because this is where it's all a bit mixed up. Everyone's got different strategies and who's where. And then it'll be this next one where we see how the true sort of order of things really shakes out.
Really interesting, actually. Scott Campbell just got by a lapped car on the way down into turn 1, so he actually made a net gain. Ken didn't get by him until the exit, so Ken did actually get checked up. He's lost a little bit of ground, still just in the tow range though, and if Ken has a good middle sector on this lap. The other thing was, Gamble wasn't all that great on tyre wear, so I think Ken's actually done some work. So Ken was, if you have a look at last season in terms of last season's running order, it was pretty easily known which way it was. We got a slow car at turn 1, and we've got slow car in the final sector, I think, as well.
Oh, okay, yep. Looks like, yeah, and we've heard race control have been called. So there has been an instance somewhere, race control have been called up to have a look at it. I'm just looking through trying to find a stationary car. I didn't see a stationary car, so I think whoever it is, Damien Cairns. Yeah, okay, yep, he was the one who called it. We're getting a replay now of what actually happened. So it's down to turn 1 here, defending position. Goes to the old Daniel Ricciardo switchback down the inside, and gets a hit and a hit again. I think that's going to be a pretty slam dunk one on that on Paul Ward there.
Well, no, actually, I'm going to go the other way. Damien's made his defensive move there, and then make a secondary defensive move. That's what I'm not okay with. Yep. So, and this is something that I make. This is one of the biggest mistakes I make all the time. Is I cover to the inside, but I still leave just about a car's width to the inside. That's a hole, right? Yep. When you block all the way to that white line, they can't do anything. Somebody's getting a penalty there.
Tough call, isn't it?
If somebody's getting a penalty, it's Warwick, but I wonder whether or not there might be a call of a secondary move in there.
Yeah, I had to look back, especially from Warwick's on board. You do see there's a little bit of a second movement there from Damien as he sort of realised the gap was there. He just moved across a little bit just to try and cover it. So it's a tough call there for race control. I mean, in the end, obviously if Damien's he ended up sort of getting the self-kick penalty there anyway. So we'll see what they go with that. Either way, that's a unfortunate incident there for both of them. Both their races kneecapped a bit thanks to that one, so big shame there. But honestly been a bit. I thought it'd be a bit more. I'm definitely a commentary curse now.
You have done yourself in here.
Yeah, we're going to get a huge one now. But so far, it's been a bit. I was expecting a bit more drama, to be honest. Like we have had, obviously, as we saw there, we had a bit of dramas on the first lap, but. Again, credit to the whole bit. I mean, you got, as we said, 46 cars, massive field. For there not to be more people involved in that first lap shenaniganry than there were, is kudos to the whole field for being able to minimise the damage of that, because that so easily could have been way more. Not only in that turn 3, as Fewens goes deep there into the left-hander, he's possibly going to get overtaken here on the run into the last corner. It's Chris Miller around the outside. He's going to get the run on the straight. He's still looking, but he'll have a mega run now in the draft down this main straight. He should be able to get this done, you would think, in the turn 1, and possibly look at Stephen Canny and co behind. They're in his draft. They might try and take Jason as well, so he could lose the 3 spots here, Jason Fewens, from that little mistake. And yeah, he sees it. Canny's gotten in the draft to try and defend, but Canny's still alongside. He's going to have him down into turn 1. Who's the late breaker? It's actually Stephen Canny, 3 wide down to turn 1. Big slide from Stephen Canny, but I think he's managed to do it. Unbelievable. What a move. That was wild stuff. They're 2x2. They're still going into the King. Someone's going to have to give here. 2 cars, 2 supercars, and I'm probably not going to fit. And Chris Miller, after all that, he's going to end up getting the spots done. Great racing there from the 4 of them to keep that clean without any major dramas.
Well, the big thing is strategy. So Jason Fewens was one of the first cars to dive in the lane. He come into the lane at the end of lap 11, so he's been on tyres since then. The rest of these guys, Chris Miller, end of lap 15, Stephen Kennedy end of lap 14, and Craig Friend's the last car in this train. Craig Friend's been a little bit on the wrong end of the receiving end of the baseball bat issued by Race Control lately. He's found himself in front of the stewards quite a lot. The big thing I'm looking for Craig Friend this season, he's got the pace. He's won races in Vets. He's been quick in Vets. The big thing is he needs to finish more races. If he does that, he's a top 5 title contender.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I mean, that's as you said, that is the big thing, isn't it? Yeah, if you're not winning, you need to be not far behind that. You need to be finishing those ones that you don't do well in. If you don't have a good one, you still need to be finishing it and finishing well enough to get some good points and not having those retirements, because those retirements obviously are what end up costing you title fights. And obviously you do have the drop rounds, as we saw earlier. You got 2 drop rounds, but you don't want to use them early, that's for sure. It's the worst thing if you have a few bad rounds early on and you're probably using your drop rounds early on. It's not good. You do not want to waste them early in the season. As we can look here, Craig Friend looking up the inside of Jason Fewens, and it looks like he should get it done. He's broken a little bit later, nice and late into turn 1, gets it pulled up. I say Fewens isn't going to fight too hard, and he's going to slot in behind him. He knows the score here. As next in line will be Christian Smart, Chad Lewis, and Sean McNamara, who's obviously a lap down, is at the back of that pack. So you do not want to have that early on. As we can see further back, this is further back in the field, some more battling going on. There's a spinner. That's a spinner in the first corner. Round he goes. Who is that? That is Paul Bryan's around at turn 1. Just a little too happy on the gas there. Round he goes, but he's got it going again. I think he did tap the wall though, so there is some front damage on that car. So he's probably going to have to... Oh, goodness me. He's got the front left is down, and I don't know if Paul knew that, and he just... as he took off, he's just clipped. I think that's Greg Sharp, I believe. He just clipped on the way through. So that was very close to being way worse than that. So we're already seeing... This is already a new damage model, already in the works. We're already seeing the effects that's having as we look at this replay now of the battle. Down the inside, he got it done very nicely, actually, that move. And oh no, he got helped. A little bit of a helping hand on the exit there. And then round he went, and that's a massive shame. And then you can see that hit, that car, that front left is completely destroyed. So I think this new damage model is definitely a bit of a adjustment for the drivers this season as well.
I think Jim Caperonis was actually involved in that one, and I think he's just called in the rejoin for Race Control to have a look at. It's the tricky part of that is he's gone, I've got a car underneath me, and then he's gone to accelerate for the first time and he doesn't have a car. So you'll see Caperonis was the first car on the scene as he wobbled out to the left. I think this is live pictures right now. So he's trying to get that car back to the pit lane, but the difficulty... I think they've got to issue him a penalty for an unsafe regen, because it absolutely is. But the difficulty you can absolutely feel from where Paul Burns is coming from, because the first opportunity to measure what kind of car have I got on, the front left's off it. And that literally, as Jim's arrived on the scene, there's nothing he can do. From his perspective, he's rejoined the track safely, and as he's gone to accelerate up to speed, he hasn't got a car underneath him. So what do you do? That's his first opportunity. The car's unweighted. I'm just looking at the pictures now, and I think it was Greg Sharp on Jim again there, just diving up the inside at the gap created there. Nearly another spinner at turn 1, but thankfully Jim saw him coming at the last minute, was able to dodge the dramas there. So, but it's an awkward scenario that you want to, you can see the little gap there. You want to get the power down. You want to try and take advantage of that yourself.
And that's just what's happened there. And unfortunately, he's just miscued, as you said, and just going in the back of him. As we know,
that was Paul Warwick in the background that was just off the track.
Oh yeah. Again, so put more dramas for Paul. As I saw, we had the issue. He had the issues in turn 1 earlier on in the race.
I think he's got a hardware failure of some description. Because his car's still running, he's still driving, and there's no meatball flag. I think he might be missing a monitor. He may only have like a left or a right side monitor at the moment.
Yeah, because you can see he's battling, no problem. Bit of contact. Oh no, steering. Does that maybe break the steering? Maybe. Either that or it is a hardware failure. No, I think he might have broken the steering, maybe. Potentially. Yeah.
Oh, that's a right-hand turn. That's a hard right-hand turn.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's hard to tell. I'm trying to... It's either that little contact did something, or as you say, it's a hardware failure. It's one of the two. I can't really tell which one it is. It's hard to tell. It's either that, or as you say, it's some kind of hardware failure. But yeah, he's limping around.
So we're in the front right corner, and so we're looking at the wrong angle here.
You can see. I think I can see it wobbling. I think I can. It's barely distinguishable.
I'm just watching him live at the moment. It's like 1 or 2 degrees off.
Yeah.
If anything. So the car's actually okay. I'm gonna double down. That's hardware. That's some sort of hardware.
Yeah. Big shame for Paul. He's had not a good first round. Obviously, had the dramas into turn 1 and now that. So not a good first round for Paul. But he'll get in, get that. Hopefully, get that fixed. Hopefully, get some points. That's going to be the goal for him now. Is just to try and salvage some kind of points from this first race of the season. But back at the front, we're looking at Jeff Thomas still leads on lap 22 of, coming over 23, I believe, of 45, halfway through the race. And yeah, he's still got a good 3-second lead over Scott Gamble at the moment. So that gap has stayed stationary. He hasn't got away, but he isn't dropping back. So he's doing the mission right now. The goal he is managing to achieve, we're seeing now, this is Ken Lader and Scott Gamble's pace. So Ken is, as we've seen the whole way, he's got the gap back down. He's got back in the draft of Scott. Now he's just sitting back yet again, saving bulk fuel once again. So really, Ken is in the perfect spot. I think he's in the perfect spot of anybody right now. He's behind one of the fastest guys in the field, who he knows is going to be able to pump in the pace lap after lap. So all he has to do is just sit there, save fuel.
Tell you
and then
what,
he's going to be good in the last stint.
Somebody else who's actually quietly going about his business, who's going to be close to this battle pack. So the next car on actually track is Dan Hall. Dan Hall's actually been taking time. He took half a second and Travis Hunt put that over him, and Travis Hunt's the next car in his rearview mirror. And the other side of the coin is he's the fastest car in the field right now, is Dan Hall. The problem Dan's got is he's actually 4 seconds lighter on fuel than Ken Lader ahead of him. The benefit for Dan, though, is he's actually got more fuel on behind Travis. So theoretically, right now, as this sits, he's going to pop out right where he is. But if this goes a little bit longer and he keeps chalking time up, he's taken half a second out of Ken Lader this lap, by the way. So he is pulling himself into this battle.
Yeah, he's becoming a big factor. I did see him when I was looking there at the turn. I was like, I don't remember Dan being that close. So yeah, he's chipping away at that gap and really bringing himself into play at the top of the field. As you say, he's got that fuel deficit, which is going to drop him back a little bit. But if he keeps doing this, he's going to be sitting very nicely in fourth, very safe in fourth.
I just had a look at the pit lane times, by the way. His fuel times are near identical to Jeff Thomas. So Jeff Thomas is actually the barometer for how well Dan Hall's doing.
Yeah, so he's going to have it's probably about 3-ish seconds then is roughly what we're probably looking at. 3.5 seconds he's got. So he will drop back, but he's still looking very good. He's still galloping away from everyone behind. He, again, about another 4/10 faster than Travis Hunt behind him that lap around, and faster than everyone bar Jeff Thomas was the only one ahead of him that was faster. So he is on a mission right now, Dan Hall. We'll see what he can do. It's going to be a big deficit to have to undo if he wants to fight in the top 3 at the end, but you never know. No, obviously, any safety cars in that would throw a cat amongst the pigeons as well. We're looking now at Stephen Kennedy battling for 11th with Chris Miller and Jason Fewens. So Fewens is sort of stabilised now, and we've got a Troy Stone Street penalty coming through, so he's got to drive through now for an instant.
So that was the contact with Paul Burns?
Paul Burns contact, yep, easy. So that was a nice and quick there from race control. But yeah, it looks like Jason Fewens stabilised a bit. He was looking vulnerable before, but he's actually gotten back past Craig Friend, and he's looking to get back past Chris Miller and Stephen Kennedy as well. So it looks like that tyre advantage has already worn away from the others. There's an engine failure behind these guys. That's Christian Smart. He's lost an engine behind him, popped an engine. I just saw the smoke. I thought someone had locked up, but he's actually popped his engine on the way through. I'm guessing he's just flipped the throttle a bit too hard. Turn 10, into that turn, So I'm guessing he's just flipped it that little bit too hard, and it's just straight away popped that engine. That's a huge saving for Christian Smart. He was up 7 spots, looking good, having a nice consistent race, and unfortunately, yeah, just a little bit too keen on that blimp, and there goes the engine. And that's so easy to do, is to just accidentally do that, and it's race over.
There's another interesting. So remember that incident that we actually had between Damien Cairns and Paul Warwick down into turn 1, whereas that there might be a secondary move in that. Race Control just said there's a lot in this one, and we're going to have a look at it later on, and because there's a few bits and pieces. And you're 100% right. Christian Smart was down into turn 10. He lost the engine, so he's okay here, okay here. It was the over rev into fourth gear, I think.
Yeah, big shame. You don't see it as much these days because these newer ones, it's harder to do that. It is harder to pop it these days. The old back in the day, sounding like I'm 100 years old. I'm not, but back in the day with the old V8 supercars before I think even time model. Back in those days, those things were so sensitive with the throttle bit. If you had to give them the lightest flip, just enough so it didn't lock, but if you did even the slightest feather too much, the engine just went straight away. I think I popped a few engines in those things because they were just so easy to pop the engine. So these ones are a little bit easier on that regard. You can sort of smash it a bit more on the downshifts and it's not going to go. But as you can see, you can still do it. It is still possible to accidentally be a little bit too eager. And there she goes. But he's back out again. He's used his faster protection at the Smart, and he's back out into the race. So drops 4 spots, but at least he can keep going and try and salvage some points from this race as we continue on into the back half now and see when these next stops will be. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who jumps the gun first. Jeff's actually gapped him a little more. It's out to 3.4 seconds. So Jeff chipping away at Scott. He's actually extended that gap last lap around there.
Both had slow laps. So Jeff Thomas actually had a really quick last lap, and Gamble and Ladder had a slow lap. So I'm wondering whether or not there might have been a mistake from Gamble that checked him and Ladder out. Ladder's just sitting there. I was just watching him. Ladder is not going to overtake this guy at all. He's going to go, right, you want to lead? Go nuts. I'm going to do whatever, if you want to back us up and you want to back us into that other car, I'm going to go with you on that. But the problem they've got now is it's about 0.3 of a second. If they back up 0.3 of a second, brings Dan Hall into the race. And Dan Hall will just look at both of these guys and go, haha, see you later, boys, and drive off down the road. That'll be his goal.
Yeah, exactly right, yeah. And Scotty, he can't fall back too far, because if they go too far, then Jeff gets the advantage and he's able to come out in the lead anyway. So they've got to be careful here. They've got to try and keep that gap down, because the rate they're going, I feel like Jeff might be able to get this gap enough at the moment, the rate he's going. And yeah, Scott doesn't look like his pace is too great. I think you might have pointed out before. Yeah, I think you're right. I think his tyre wear, not seemingly too good. He's not very good on the tyre management so far. Because again, same thing as last stint, wasn't he? He came out of the gates pretty fast, but faded towards the end of the stint. And again, it's happened here. And yeah, Jeff Thomas is looking like he's looking very pretty in that lead. If he can keep this up and has got the fuel numbers right, he could just come out in the outright lead at this rate. His pace is still good. Another low 30.3. Scott though 36.4, so he did come back a little bit.
Just watch the way he drives. This is one of the prettiest wheels you are likely to see in supercars, because you just look at how slow and smooth and direct he is, right? There's no wiggling in the rear end. Whenever you watch Scott Gamble drive, and when I'm talking to people in and around the series that say, I want to be a better supercar driver, first and foremost, go find somebody else. Don't come to me for tips. You're talking to the wrong guy. Secondly, the first thing I do, go watch clips of any time we've got Gamble on Vets. Watch what he's doing with the steering wheel. Watch where he's placing the car. Look at this wheel. There is very little movement in it. He's upshifts and downshifts. Now, the other thing I'm noticing as well, sequential shifter that's mounted to the wheel. So he's on the flappy paddles. But do you see how little movement there is in this wheel? If you can master this style of driving, you will be success. You just pick a discipline and you'll get good in that car. But you've got to drive the car in this way and be quick whilst doing it. And there are very few who can master that. If you have a look at the top end of the Pro Series, a lot of those guys, the wheels wobbling all around like this, there are very, very few that can drive the car like Scott Gamble.
Yeah, no, very true. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, no, it's that smoothness is how you keep the tyres alive, how you look after the car. It works over a stint. You keep the pace every single lap. That's how you get that consistency. It's being able to be nice and smooth and easy on the car. The easier on the car, in a way, the better it's going to be. It's going to treat you right almost. So you got to push it, but not too much.
It's really, really interesting. So from a NASCAR perspective, so I was talking to a few of the guys and vets about this. NASCAR's just gone through a little bit of a revolution, particularly where the truck is related at the moment. They've just come through with a new tyre model, new aero model, new suspension architecture model. one of the big things that I'm noticing with Scott Gamble tonight is that this track and this setup aren't rear limited. And his style of driving is all about protecting the rears. We're going to see Fuen's pit. I think that I'm pretty sure that's Fuen's pit. One of the big things about his way of driving is it protects the rears a lot. But the problem is, as soon as you transition to a front restricted set, which this looks to be a little bit more, and a lot of long loaded corners where you're not trying to get on the power aggressively and sag that rear end all over the place. I'm talking turn 4, turn 5, turn 11, turn 12, turn 13. That's where it becomes front loaded. And at that point in time, you do have to use a little bit more wheel or right foot. A little less wheel, a little bit more right foot to turn the car. But it's a difficult balance, and that's where Ken is a little bit better because he's driving the car off the right foot a little bit more. That's why Ken's faster tonight. You won't see that when we go to Detroit Belle Isle. Detroit Belle Isle next week, Gamble will smash him.
He put the locker on him, so let's see what happens, I suppose, in the next round. But yeah, it's very true, very true. And it's interesting as you just point that out. You know, the different styles, different tracks are going to suit different driving styles. Obviously, certain styles suit tonight, different one will suit next week. So you could see some different order for the next week of racing, as it's just totally different style of track. Of course, you know, you've got this quite smooth, purposeful racetrack to the streets of Belle Isle.
Actually, I know we're watching along with I believe Blake Delaney's onboard shots at the moment.
Yes.
But if we can have jump to Dan Hall right now, Dan Hall is in a really, really interesting position. David Nash has actually just come out of the pit lane and he's fed back in between 3rd and 4th on the road. What that's doing is David Nash has got fresh tyres. His pace is going to be really, really good, number one. Number two, he's giving Dan Hall a tow. So Dan Hall's been pulled into this gap now that he had no business. He was just outside of it. He just couldn't break the second marker. He just couldn't get in there. Nash is now pulling him in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, now he's officially in a nice little draft. As you say, Nash has got nice fresh tyres, so his pace should be good. So he shouldn't be getting held up, and he's actually getting a nice draft as well. So this is bringing Dan Hall further into this battle. He can possibly try to do a little bit of fuel saving potentially. And yeah, but he does have Michael Whiting, who's also just come out behind him on fresh tyres. So you've got two cars here who are a lap down, but they're on fresh tyres in their own battle. And we'll see this plays out. You don't want to interrupt the lead battle, but at the same time, these guys have their own race, so they want to try and move along, keep it going. And it's always the worst in this scenario when you have those fresh tyres and you can't really use them because you're stuck behind slower cars, despite them being obviously ahead on the road, just because of strategy. So for now, they're all holding station, but yeah, Dan Hall getting a nice little draft here that can try and bring him in. These guys, by the way, have all left the rest of them behind. Van der Kraan, good 5-6 seconds behind Dan Hall. So these top four have all gapped the rest of the field quite handsomely. Oh yeah, nice big lock up there from Ken, and look at the gap that's left now to Scott Gamble. He's got a little bit of a gap. Still in the draft though, so he's still kept the draft, but yeah, bit of a mistake there for Ken. He's straight in the lane, yeah. And Dan following it.
Dan Hall can't pit here. Dan Hall cannot pit here. He pits, he gets a black flag. He crossed the line. Did you see the pit lane entry line?
Yeah, yep. I did, yeah. So that should be a penalty, right? That should be a straight penalty.
Got away with it. So I've definitely, there might have been a change to the pit lane. In seasons gone by, at this track, you cannot touch the white line on pit lane entry, because we've gone and had a look at the white lines and been like, no,
he has. There you go. So I think, producers confirmed that he did get black.
Matt Van der Kraan. It was Matt Van der Kraan.
Van der Kraan, sorry, yeah. So, and then, and he was P5, so that's another one of the lead guys, and it was there by the looks of it, yeah. It was
on the right-hand side on the initial turn in. He was two wheels outside that white line.
Yeah, that's what did him. So I think, Dan Hall, and he said definitely wasn't there, so it was definitely...
Right here. Watch this. Yeah. Right as he turns to the right, his first right-hander.
Right there.
Significantly over that line. That's a penalty.
It's so easy to do that. You're just thinking of getting into pit lane fast. You just forget where those white lines are, and it's so easy to do that. So it's a big shame for Van der Kraan. He's going to be way down now as they come out of the lane. Jeff Thomas out of the lane, and Ken Ladder has jumped him. So Jeff tried. He was doing great pace. He was putting in the times, doing everything he could, but it still wasn't quite enough to keep ahead of Ken. But again, Ken was in that perfect spot. He was sitting behind Scott the whole race, just saving fuel for 29 laps. He was just sitting behind Scott, saving fuel. So
Gamble hasn't pit yet. So there's two factors in here. Ken was starting to lock a lot of fronts, and the other factor was he had Nash sitting in behind him. So Ken went, this is a bad situation to be in. I can undercut. I've been fuel saving. I can jump this guy in the pit lane. So he's gone, there's three opportunities here. I'm just going to take low risk, minimize the risk, and just get in. Gamble's going so long here.
Yeah.
Gamble could be going for fastest lap of the race as well.
Yeah, and he's just come out. There's a lap car just come out in front of him. He's going to get out of the way by the looks of it. He does, yep. So won't get held there. But again, it's an awkward scenario because he's got about 5 lap cars that have all got fresh tyres all behind him. So as you say, it's a bit of an awkward scenario for Scott. So we'll see what he does here, whether he stays out longer if he does pit soon. But I think he might be right. He might be going for that fastest lap. He might have realised. He's probably obviously seen Ken behind him and gone, well, Ken's behind me, he's saving fuel, he's going to have the strategy on me, so there's not much I can do. You know, he didn't have the pace to get away. He was just kind of stuck. You know, he either tried to let Ken through, and Ken obviously wouldn't have wanted to lead, or he tried to get away and he couldn't. So he was sort of in a bind. And yeah, maybe Scott looked at it and gone, well, he had the strategy on me. He's going to have me on strategy, so maybe I'll just go longer, sacrifice my strategy a bit, but try and get that fastest lap, get a point back that way, and try and salvage, you know, top 3 or top 4. Maybe he's thinking in that regard, because. And laps later, as Daniel said just then, yeah, as well, yeah. So, yeah, possibly going for an alternate way of points here because, yeah, unfortunately for him, just the way this race has gone, the fuel strategy has not worked for him, and he's sort of been played a bit like that. So, potentially, he's sort of cut his losses and gone, well, I'm not winning that anyway, so let's try and get points in a different way, which is the bonus, I guess, of having the bonus points
he's
that
in.
we
This
do
will be him
have.
in for sure.
Yeah, looks like, yep. Yeah, he's in, yeah. And I think, yeah, same thing as what we said with Ken. I think he's seen all these lap cars behind him and gone, well, no point having these guys right behind me. Let's get in, get some fresh tyres, and go for it again. So we'll see how he comes out. We would say he should come out behind Ken, seeing as he wasn't fuel saving like ladder was.
So really interesting point, Hinsey, as well. The tyre fall off is nearly non-existent, by the way. Gamble's most recent lap compared to his fastest lap, which I believe both of them actually came during that stint. 35.5 was his fastest lap of the race. 36.3 was his most recent lap. So the tyre wear, not there at all. Only 8 tenths per second. You'd normally be looking about 1 to 1.5, 2 seconds, somewhere in that range. You wouldn't be seeing this little in terms of the tyre wear. So you're actually looking after them really, really well. So the undercut opportunity, well, Ladder was always going to undercut him.
Yeah.
But Ladder's also come out in traffic.
Yeah, he has, yeah. Yeah, he's got some lap cars he's dealing with right now. But I think he's getting one. Actually, they've just both pitted. So as we say that, the C's part, and Ken has clean track again. So nice clean track for him there. Scott easing the lane. He has got it, yeah. And I think Jeff has got him as well. So Scott will come out, I believe, effective 3rd. He will, yeah, right behind Jeff Thomas. So, and all of his lap cars.
This is a lap.
No, it's not. Sorry, it's James McKnight. Yeah, he's played himself into this. Where's he come from? So unless he hasn't stopped yet, is he not stopped? Yeah, so he does overstop. I was going to say, I was wondering what's going on. And this, a bit of, yeah, so, and obviously his teammate here, to Ken Ladder. So he's not, he has to stop, but he's for position. So he has every right to fight this. He may still have to stop, but he is fighting for position. So he has every right. Scott Gamble up the inside of Jeff Thomas, puts it down the inside. Big late move there, but gets it done, pulled up. Lovely little move, opportunistic from Scott, using McKnight there. That was some smart play. Saw McKnight holding him up. Takes the opportunity and gets by, but now he's got to deal with McKnight. So let's see what happens there. McKnight, as I say, he's teammates with Ken. So
I think this is actually intentional from Jeff Thomas. I actually don't think this is absolutely intentional from McKnight because he knew exactly what position he's in. But if you have a look at Jeff Thomas, Jeff's tyres, he's lost that sheen off the edge of the tyre. He's lost that real edge, where Scott Gamble's still got it. Now. Jeff was going, all right, Gamble's going to have a go at him. Gamble will absolutely have a go at him because he's always going to. He's got better tyres. He's going to be the best opportunity to break this up.
Yeah.
This is over. Ken's won the race from here. Yeah. This is already over.
Yeah. I don't see Scott closing it in with Ken's pace. I mean, we didn't get to really see Ken's pace. We haven't seen it all race because he was just sitting behind Scott the entire time. So this will actually be the first time we actually get to see Ken's actual pace here. So as long as his pace is the same as Scott's, he's got this in the bag. He's just got to put in the laps, not make any mistakes, and this is his race to lose, really. So, the big lock up from Scott, very deep, and Jeff Thomas gets by McKnight as well, so they've both cleared him now. But that, even though that was only a lap, but that lap of holding up has given has given Ken that gap.
Well, the other thing is, that was Scott Gamble's best lap on those tyres. He's never going to get that lap back out of those tyres ever again. You got to talk about, when you talk about the supercars tyre, it's got 1 lap of golden pace in it. 1 lap of golden pace in it. Why do you always see these guys in qualifying trim crawling around on that first lap? Number 1, heat. Number 2, the tyre only has 1 lap worth of actual pace in it. So you've got to preserve that pace. Even though Jamie's let those guys go now, he's killed their run. He's murdered Scott's opportunity to pull back half a second, because I reckon he could have pulled half a second out of him on that lap. Maybe not quite half a second, 4/10, a little bit. There was an opportunity there, and he's murdered that. So job done.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and that's that. I think that was. I'm sure that was all he knew. He would have known that just hold him for just that one lap. Just hold him up. That's gonna get rid of that one lap flyer they have, and really help protect Ken. So we'll see how this goes. But it's all in Ken's court here. All he has to do is just keep the pace, keep clean, keep consistent, and he should have it. But we'll see. Scott's going to have the eyes on now. He will be pushing like someone possessed right now. He'll be pushing and pushing and pushing, and we'll see what he can do. There's a 35.6 on that lap, or 36.3 for Ken. That is a big gain. That's 7/10 that he just took out.
Ken's in the fuel pot. Ken actually underfueled his car now, is the flip side of that. And the problem that they've got as well is that Jamie McKnight ran... You guys would be sitting there and you're going, Scott, you're a little bit crazy. He ran a 37.4 on his most recent 2 laps. These guys are in the 35s. So he's cost them 1.7 seconds. Oh, yeah, but he let him go at the end. Yeah. Everyone will sit here. It is very, very easy to point fingers and go, that was absolutely a team game. I can't say for sure if it's not a team game, but my first thoughts are, if it's not a team game, you get out of the way as early as you can.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, that's, it's not your race, and it's just, it costs you less time to just jump out of the way, less issues, and then you can tag on with them. You can then use their draft to try and get a little bit of pace, even if it's only for a lap. You get a little bit of pace back being in their draft, even though you are on worn tyres, etc. So that's the take there. But yeah, I'm fascinated to see what happens. We could potentially have a really juicy 3-car battle here if Scott can close it in. So as we say, Ken probably has underfueled the car to get that jump in trap position. Okay,
the other thing is, it could be... Remember how we were saying Ken was very, very good at the back end of the stint on the tyres? He's trying to save the tyres right now. That's what he's trying to do. Because remember, we're still going to go another 11 laps from here. So it could be the way that they're driving the car. He could be under-driving all these corner entries in the final sector. Yeah, it's very possible. You're very, very right. It could be saving this for the end. I mean, he might have looked at it and gone, well, they're going to obviously push like crazy. And they might catch me. But if I can just look after the tyres and save them for the end, I'll then be able to get back and get clear when it matters. So he might be thinking of that future plan further down the road. So we'll see, though. But hopefully, for our sake, this all comes together into a lovely 3-car battle for the end, because that would be fantastic. Might be 4, because Dan Hall's not out of this one yet. He's still running really, really good sector times.
Yeah, and obviously as soon as they start battling, they start losing time, and that just brings him further into the fold. And I mean, Travis Hunt's even not that far behind. I mean, he's only three seconds behind Dan Hall. So yeah, it could bring in a whole bunch of cars here potentially, as we look at Brendan Nishke and Blake Delaney battling for P8 at the moment. Will be effective P7 once Jamie McKnight pits as they go along, and looking like defensive, a little bit defensive there from Nishke, slightly not really into the kink, not really overtaking the opportunity as we've said before. But a good race for him actually, 18th to 8th for Nishke and 14th to 9th for Delaney. So 2 solid races for these two as well. So they've had a really solid run as they battle it away at the back end of the 10. And you've got Michael Stewart's behind them, rounding out the 10. At the moment, 10th to 10th, but he will go up to 9th, as we say, once Night pits. So, yeah, really nice little duel. Aries pits, my bad. So we'll see who comes out on top in this battle. I'm going to look again at this lead gap. It is down further. Gamble only got a few tenths this time around, but Ken's already trying to break the draft. He's trying to break the draft down the main straight, so he's already trying to break this. But, I mean, this lap, you'd think, yeah, as long as Scotty can keep this pace up, he should be properly in the draft by the end of this lap, you'd think. It looks like Delaney's going to go for the move on Nishke, down the inside, room left, pulls it up nicely and gets a lovely drive. Good move, actually, very nice move there from Blake Delaney. Textbook down to turn 1. He now moves off the spot into P7.
Well, that's a little bit of a change of circumstances. So all the way back in that first stint, I was just having a little bit of chat with Harry Dodds for who's been watching along as well. He picked something up from Blake Delaney's car in that first stint. He had about 2-3 degrees with the right hand down in the cockpit. So Delaney was actually struggling just a little bit. He did a really, really good job just sort of keep himself relevant. Well, he's now cleared that damage because last stop may as well get the fast repair over. You're not racing each other massively hard. If something happens from here, well, race is over anyway. So the other thing to consider there is Delaney's now recovered that, and Nitschke hit 3 laps earlier as well, so 3 laps older on the tyres. He's actually got a quite hefty run to the end. It'll be 17 laps on those tyres to the end of the race for Nitschke. So he's gone for a longer final stint as well. Whereas Blake Delaney, in terms of strategies, I can just remember the race from the other Japanese circuit, the little one, not
Tsukuba?
Not Tsukuba, the other one, the entry-level one that everyone owns for free on iRacing. Okayama. And what he did very, very well at Okayama was he ran very long on the first stint, and he ran very short in the middle stint, and just went as hard as he possibly could in that middle stint, made all his time back up, come out with the race lead in the final stint. So it could be also that term of a flip of a script as well. Travis Hunt's just hit the lane.
Ooh, yeah.
And that's
definitely on schedule for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that's either a drive-through penalty or a meatball. He stopped in his box, it's a meatball.
Yeah. No, meatball, yeah. Interesting. He's up on the jacks, so did he short fuel? Maybe did he accidentally
definitely his third stop. That's absolutely his third stop.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is unless he accidentally got the fuel numbers wrong, maybe, or something like that. That's about the only thing I can think of there, because, just no meatball. I didn't see any damage, no penalty, so, yeah, I'm guessing it's just the wrong fuel numbers or something. It was only a little splash as well, so, yeah, big shame for Travis.
Pit end of lap 11, he pit somewhere in the mid-20s as well. He pit end of lap 26, and then that's his third stop. So I've just gone through and found all 3 stops,
It's such a shame. He was looking very good, very comfy in the top 5, and it's unfortunate he's now dropped down to what will be 21st, I believe, in the order. So big shame there. But anyway, that's at least he can still get points, as we say. But that's a good point with Blake Delaney. I sort of, as you say, I didn't realise with the damage, but that explains why he wasn't as far up as I thought he was. Because we know obviously Blake's very handy vet driver himself. I was wondering what was going on there. That does explain it. So his pace this stint has been very good. He's done 35s and a 36 lap the last lap, so very good pace for him, which it looks like he probably will get Jason Strange on the back of him now, so he should get that done, you would think, at the pace he's going. But I was looking at Tully Anchit's defending from Greg Sharp at the moment, recovering Van de Kraan after that penalty on the pit entrance, and Van de Kraan looking up the inside, nearly thought about it on Greg Sharp, a little bit too late in the piece to go for that move. But this is a juicy little battle pack here, especially with Van de Kraan coming through. He's going to have the eyes on, he's going to be wanting to make up for that mistake, so there'll be some aggression in these moves, I would say.
Man, Tally, I mean, what to talk about from Tally? He has had a wild year in terms of things. And just watching him drive out there at the moment, he looks very underprepared. Like, he's not taking the generic Tally lines. Like, I would expect him to be carrying a ton of speed up the main straight. He didn't do that wide swing in the last corner to really maximise the exit speed, so there was none of that. So whether or not he thinks he can save a little bit of tyre being a little bit tighter in, don't know. It's not working for him here tonight. One of the big things about Tally is he's put a lot of work away into Pro Series, but if you have a look at his progression, I had a really, really interesting chat with Tom Freer the other night from Synergy Sim Racing. Tally is sitting in a new mechanical relationship with that team, but it's on a probationary sort of bits and pieces. He's had issues in the past, but at the same time, for the first time ever, this is Tally running when he's not in charge of a team. Up until now, he's been managing teams, managing other people, looking after other people and giving them drives and doing whatever he can. This is the first time we're ever getting to see Tally, who's just a driver. And I'm really, really excited to see that. It's not showing off tonight, but remember, fixed setup versus open setup, he's been putting a lot of work into Logitech Pro Invitational as well. So expect that to pay off in Pro Invitational. I definitely think it did from Watkins Glen, but how it plays out this season from Vets is anyone's guess.
Yeah, no, definitely. It'll be a one to watch for sure, to see how he develops with this fixed setup and just his new situation in terms of his driving and all that sort of thing. But here it is. Scott Gamble already has caught up to Ken Latta, and as you can see, he's been chipping away every lap, chipping away at him, and the battle for lead is on. And Jeff Thomas hasn't really gone with Scott. He's actually been not quite been able to match Scott's pace, but he is there. So the second these guys start battling, he's right there to try and grab it as well. So yeah, it's on with the it's on with, I think it'll be 6 laps to go next time by. So
something happened to Dan Hall in the last lap, by the way. He lost a second in the final sector.
Yeah, 37.5. Yeah, that is a slow lap from what he was doing. So I might just go back and have a quick. Oh, yep, found it. It was the second to last corner. Got on the curb. Oh, he's just it's done that weird thing where it's just rode that really awkward part of the curb where the wheel kind of gets stuck in the curb and just spat him off to the left side, and did pretty well to catch it, to be honest. Just a little bit of a wobble, but yeah, that cost him that second, which, depending how this battle goes, that could be crucial. That second might be what puts him out of it.
Forget this battle. I think he was actually trending towards Jeff Thomas. I think he was quicker than Jeff Thomas, and his sector pace and all the other sectors have been really, really good enough to drag himself forward. But I'm just keeping half an eye on this one. I think Ken's vulnerable. I think Ken is very, very vulnerable.
Super. Yeah, he looks. I mean, look at the run, Scott. I think he knows. Yeah, he's not even defending here. I think Ken knows. He just knows that he does not have anything for Scott right now. Scott side by side down the straight. It's going to have it done pretty much before turn 1. So this will be over already for now. But obviously Ken might sit behind. No, he's going to try and hold it on the outside. Is he? No. Yeah, he's trying. But I think Scott will have the run. Yeah, gets the run. Gets it done for now. So yeah, I think Ken. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Ken there. He saw it and just knew he did not have the pace to fight him now. But now he'll just try and stick with him, get those tyres back in a window, hope that maybe Scott's burnt him off.
He just clutched major at the Coca-Cola corner there. Yeah, he's fuel conserving. He's in a hole.
Oh boy, he's gone too far. He's saved too much. Yeah, underdid it too much. Yeah, and producer's saying he was on the same fuel time as Scott, so it's interesting how he's managed to be that short on fuel. So interesting. So we'll see how this. I mean, he's in where he's been most of the race. Very comfortable spot right behind Scott, so he should be able to save that fuel. He should be able to save now if he plays his cards right. So if he can do this right, stick with him, get the fuel he needs, get the reserve back so he can push again. He can maybe try and battle in here in these last couple of laps.
Think about where the start-finish line is. We should actually ride with it and pick it up here, because it's very, very important to pick it up. If you can over-under at the last corner and get the drive off, and look at Gamble's now driving that car off the right rear. So remember everything I talked about earlier on? He had a lot more fuel in the car the first couple of stints. This is the first time with light cars. So again, really different car behavior because of how they've been on the fuel. Now watch where this start-finish line is. So the problem that Ken's got is he just cannot carry it. Gamble is getting so much better drive off that last corner, even without the draft. So now he's starting to overhaul him, and that's the line there. That was the timing line there, that gantry that they went under, that first gantry. So if he can get enough drive, there is an opportunity to drive past, but he's got to make sure he gets the drive. So he's got to read in these next couple of laps, think about what he wants to do. Gamble's spinning right rear, not left rear, and the last corner is a right-hander, left rear loaded.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, it's something definitely to keep in mind for Ken to see if he can really take the battle to him. But it's always difficult. It's always difficult in these scenarios at the end. I mean, it's obviously earlier on, it's not too bad. You know, you're not going usually at 120%. You know, there's a little bit left that you're just in the groove. You're trying to keep the pace up, not go crazy. It's a bit easier to fuel save, I've found anyway. But it's when at the end of the race, when you're going 10 tenths, 11 tenths, and pushing as hard as you can, and still having to fuel save, it makes it so difficult to do that. And one, get the fuel save you need, and two, not make mistakes. So it's a tough assignment, but we'll see what Ken can do. He's sticking in the draft for now, and Jeff Thomas is still there, 1.7 seconds. He is looking very strong there as battle for P6 we're looking at. It's Travis Hunt as well. He's still coming back through the field. He's already caught. Oh, that was a lockup? Was that another engine failure? Another engine. That's the second one. 2 now. Robert Crystal. He was up 13 spots too. That is a massive shame. Really good race for him. And he's done the same thing that Christian Smart did. Different corner, but same thing. Just a little bit too keen on the blip. And that's it. All she wrote. As I think we're just going to see Travis Hunt's move down the inside of T1. Nice move too. A little bit of a little defensive, nothing crazy. Oh! Right, well that explains that. I thought he'd drop back a bit, and that's why.
Is that Cryptdale just in front of him now?
Yeah.
So this is just before he blows the engine. Yeah,
right here. And there it goes. Yeah. Oh, man, that's interesting. 2-in-1 race. I haven't seen 2-in-1 race for a while, to be honest. It's, as I say, at least from what I remember, it's a little bit harder to break the engine in these than with the old cars. And he's pulled over to the side here. Will we get potentially a late race safety car? Because he is very much in the firing line. Did Sweeper know he's not? Okay, let him go. Okay, yeah, which is I think a fair call. We're a bit too late in the race because if we had done that, we probably would have finished under yellow, and we don't want that. We want racing. We want a nice juicy battle, which is what having the lead.
There was enough time. There was actually enough time to get a safety car in.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, yeah, they had finished on safety car before. Yeah, okay. So yeah, there was that 41. So there was.
Oh, Stewie Hall's in the grass.
Oh, jeez, it's kicking off in the back of the race now. There he is, and just recovering, and that looks bent. So maybe. I think he might have whacked the wall potentially. That looked a bit bent to me, but we're looking now at look at this battle. 4-car battle for 6th spot. Jason Strange, Nishiki, Stewart, and Chris Miller all battling away for this P6 position. Delaney's cleared them. He cleared all these guys earlier on. He's down the road, so he's already gapped them in P5, where he will probably stay at the moment. So, yeah, juicy battle here with Strange at the front of it. And as you say, credit to...
There's another toe. Robbie Griffiths just called for a toe as well. Oh, there's going to be movement for the race lead. There's going to be movement for the race lead. Ken Ladder's having a go.
Yeah, turn 1 down the inside, and he's stuck the nose in there. Scott's going to hold the outside, get the drive off the corner, and I think he'll hold it. Kenny had a look, but not quite there. Oh, gee, that looks so close for that car around there on the inside there. And yeah, Scott holds it for now, but Ken's looking dangerous. I think he must have saved the fuel he needed, and he's back on attack again. So, and again, Jeff Thomas is right there. The more these guys battle, the more he gets brought in. So, 3-car battle is looking on for the lead right now.
Yeah, so Jeff Thomas is now back in this battle, so this changes things significantly. Thomas is going to have a double toe, and that's what he's got to start thinking about. He's got 4.5 seconds out the rearview mirror, so he's got sort of 3 seconds worth of mistake as a buffer. Now, these guys are going to have 2 more laps left to run, Hinsey. And I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm sitting in Ken Ladder's shoes, I'm not leaving it for the start-finish straight. I've got to... I talked about it a lot at Winton, actually, with Scops on the weekend, was it's not where you get the move done. That move was set up 6 or 7 corners before at Winton, because that's what you've got to do. I think it's the same thing here. Even though we're going to have draft come into play, he's not going to get this move done off of this last corner. Look at the line. Gamble's carrying so much pace off the exit here. That was a lot more accurate than he was last lap, and they're both getting better at that final corner. He's still going to be vulnerable at turn 1 because he's just close enough.
Yeah, they definitely looked a lot better from Ken there. He got that down very nicely. Really good exit, and he's right in the draft. He's going to have a left score. Scott's going to go all the way to the wall here. There's no more niceties anymore. All the way to the wall. Make him go the long way around. If Ken can make this work, he could potentially get the run on the exit, but Scott's going to go in very deep into turn 1. Oh, they've come together. Bit of door robbing. Hopefully that hasn't done any damage to steering, and Scott holds it just. That was very deep from them both, on the limit of adhesion.
And Jeff Thomas just rubs his hands together and goes, come on, boys, have another crack.
Yeah, he's loving this. Jeff's loving this. This is perfect. He can just sit there, get back on the back of them, and he's there. Last lap, he is there. Anything happens, he can just mop it up instantly. So, yeah, Ken looking everywhere he can, but just can't quite do it. Scott's just late enough on the brakes that Ken can't quite get the move done. But he's looking so vulnerable here. Jeff Thomas, look at he's right there, just looming in the background.
Have a go right here.
Yeah, go for
right
it.
Here.
I think he might. He's look at Scott goes defensive. Ken up the inside of the kick, gets it done. Can he pull it up? Oh, he can too. Oh, Jeff nearly rear end Scott, just pulls it up, and Ken gets it done. Scott flashing the lights. They're not happy with that one.
There's one more lap.
You know, it's not done. We've got one more lap to go, Scott. You can still get back here, my friend. It's not done. So, brave stuff. But as you say, now's the time. This is where you've got to go for those moves, those half chances. You've got to take them now. This is for the win. There's no more stuffing around anymore.
Oh, they're all squirming all over the road as they come off the last corner, Hinsey. Here we go. One more lap. It's going to be 4.5 kilometres when we get to the start-finish line. It's now probably about 4.8. Now it's down to 4.7, 4.6. There's your 4.5. It's on. Now they're door banging. Here comes Jeff Thomas in the background. Still door banging. Jeff's going to have a crack at these guys because why not? Still to the inside. Here comes Ken Ladder. Gets the inside at turn 1. Where does Thomas go? Gamble looks for the crisscross. Gets back underneath him. Doesn't quite get it. Ladder leads the way, but now they're the walking wounded. They've banged doors about 5 times, Inzy. There's nothing left in those door panels, and they're all going to need to see a panel beater when this is done.
Oh, the aggression is just off the charts here. That was banging doors down the straight at 250 plus Ks. I nearly expected someone in the fence there, but they managed to keep it together. Insane racing. The aggression's on. Scott's not happy. I think he's not very happy with that move at the kink, and he's out for blood right now on Ken Ladder. But can he do it back? I don't think he's close enough this time around. Yeah. Oh, he just got thought about it, but not quite close enough. Ken's going to hold it. It's all about that last corner and the runs through here. Can Scott dive it up the inside in any of these corners? He's lining him up. He's trying to find a spot, maybe into here. Hard place to do it. You're not really going to get it done, and he won't. But will it be the last corner? Ken runs very deep. opens the door, gets it sideways. Scott Gamble looking up the inside. Here it comes. Dive down the inside, last corner. Gets up the inside again. More door banging. Jeff's going to be right there. This is going to be 3 wide. Over the line. It's side by side. Door banging central. Jeff's right there too. Defensive from Scott. They're 3 wide on the run to the line. Who's going to have it?
Jeff Thomas.
Who's going to win it? Jeff, is he going to get it?
He's going to win it.
Oh!
No way. He won
Did he get it? He got it.
No way.
That is unbelievable.
No freaking way. And I think that is Jeff Thomas's first ever win in V8 Vets.
That is unbelievable. What a finish.
No,
Thomas.
He did win at Long Beach. I think he won at Long Beach a couple seasons back.
Still, first win in a few seasons. His second ever in Vets. What a way to win. What a way to win. That was insane. That was crazy. Oh, I hope you guys enjoyed that.
As soon as Gamble went up the inside the last corner, Jeff was always going to win that.
Yep. That's all Jeff needed. Exactly as we said. He just needed to wait. He just needed to sit and wait, which is exactly what he did. As soon as that gap opened, he was there straight away and was like, there we go. That's mine. So, what a finish. What a finish to that race. I'm glad now we didn't get the safety cars because that was a insane finish to this first race. What a start to season 20. Another drag race further back. This is Chris Blanchard and Gary Buckland, and there's Greg Sharp, I think, involved too. I think Blanchard just got it, just on the line. I reckon there's probably about 4 or 5 drag races further down the field. It's the beauty of that, the way that last corner and that run to the line is. There is that beautiful drag race that you get, and yeah, that was crazy, Scott. That was. I tell you what, I picked a good one to come back to. That was that was quite.
This happens on the regular. Like the racing's normally. So what's been happening sort of over the last couple of seasons, a bit in comms here, is we look at the race up front. We're like, oh yeah, that's nice, but we're gonna have a look, say, from 25th to 40th. Oh, there's a car spun out of the last corner. I think Scott Van Loon's not going to finish.
Oh no, that is a massive shame. Well, I'll see if I can find it. Where is he? There he is. I think he might. If he didn't, he's already gone, as I can't see him. So big shame. We've got the replay now. This is from Jeff Thomas's perspective. We can see here. There goes Scott up the inside. Hart tries to defend it, but Scott's too fast. And of course, as you say, that ruins their run. They've got no run out of that last corner. And Jeff, all he's got to do now is pick his gap. He tries to go inside. Scott defends. Still got the draft. Goes between the two of them.
He gets a double side draft here. So what Ken Latta does is he actually offers him his quarter panel, and that's the side draft. Like a NASCAR move.
Yep. Gets it done. There you go.
Three cars in 32 thousandths of a second. Latta and Gamble 2 thousandths of a second.
After what is an hour 14 of racing on a circuit too. This is not NASCAR oval on a circuit to be that close. 3 cars with no safety cars, no nothing is truly insane. It's crazy. It shows how amazing the racing is.
I want to see the points because I want to jump over to the old, what do they call it, Danley's Sim Racer Hub these days, because I want to go and see if that is actually Jeff Thomas's first win, because he finished on the podium at Long Beach, but I don't think he won that race.
Okay, yeah. Well, it'd be good to know, because if that is his first win, that is... I mean, you can't possibly get a first win better. Like, you really can't. That is the perfect first win. So I kind of hope that is, because you don't forget that, that's for sure. But we've got the standings up now. As you can see, Jeff Thomas for JWM Sim Sports takes the win by literally nothing over Ken Latta and Scott Gamble. Amazing racing from the 3 of them there to the end. Bit of Biffo as well, which, it's supercars. Biffo is part of the deal. So some good racing there to the end, but that's your top 3. Dan Hall ends up P4, was closing. If he had more laps, he may have been in it too, but he ends up P4. Good run for him. Blake Delaney ends up in P5. Good recovery after damage early on in the race. Brendan Nishke holds on to P6 in that battle pack with Michael Stewart, P7. Chris Miller for Fishy Motorsports in P8. Craig Friend ends up 9th. Good to see him in the top 10 with a good result. And Chad Lewis rounds out your top 10 for Evolution Racing Team.
Yeah, over the page, Jason Strange just hearing him. He actually ran out of fuel in the final lap of the race as well. Stephen Kennedy, Jason Fewens gets home in 13th, which after all the pit stop hullabaloo is actually about where he popped out. Dean Flubble, I do like checking in on his heart rate monitor. We need to do more of that next week when we get an opportunity. Christian Smart from Dave Kirby, a reasonable night at the office. Damien Cairns, Travis Hunt recovers to 18th using fresh rubber at the end to do some overtaking. Stephen Varga and Brad Doble round out your 20.
And on to the next page, it's Michael Whiting in P21 with Jamie McKnight ending up P22. Matt Vanderkran ends up 23rd after that penalty for crossing the pin entry line. Big shame for him, but at least manages to salvage some points in the end. Michael Teliancic ends up P24. from the back of the field. Still a good result there for him, good points as he adjusts to his new driving environment. David Nash, P25 to Chris Blanchard, getting that P26 and that run to the line over Gary Buckland. Greg Sharp ends up P28. Darren Gozzi ends up 29th, and Halil Sazier ends up in 30th.
And finally, to take us back to 40th, Jim Caparonis from Troy Stone Street, Shane Randell, Glenn Corbett after that incident, lap 1 manages to recover. Mario Rao, Mark Poynton, not a great night at the office. The guys 1 lap down will be Stewie Hall from Luke Grundle, Darren Crosby and Sean McNamara, all were hoping for a safety car, didn't get it. And then over the page for you, Hinsey.
It will be Paul Ryans, who ends up getting a finish 1 lap down after his issues there earlier on. Scotty Van Loon ends up 42nd with Robbie Griffiths and Robert Crisdell. And in retirements, Paul Warwick and Scott McCune. Unfortunately, having the curse continue. So hopefully next round he can have the curse go. Let's hope. Yeah, what a crazy first night. Fantastic racing all round. Really, really good. And just, that battle at the end was just something else. That really just showed the racing tonight. It was very close, very competitive all throughout the field. And yeah, as I said, to be that close after that much racing without any safety car interventions or anything, really is just is crazy to me. That's fantastic to see. And I guess next up we get to interviews now. We interview the top 3. So I think it's only fitting that we start with Jeff. I think it's the only fitting way to start this one. That was. I was
going to say, Scott Gamble's going to be rather annoyed with Ken Ladder, yes. For sure.
Yeah.
That was being voiced in sim with the only operation he had open to him, but he's not available. So yeah, I agree with you. I think we've got to start with a man who's probably 3 glasses of champagne deep, Jeff.
Yeah, that was nice, hey? What were they calling me? Jeff Bradbury in there.
You literally were, though. You literally were. You sat back, you watched them battle, and then last corner they get into each other, and you were right there. I mean, we were watching it. We were looking at you going, you're in the perfect spot if they come together to just sit there and take advantage. I mean, was that pretty much the plan there in those last laps?
Well, that was pretty much all there was. Like I had a bit of a different line to them on the way into their last corner. Like I was cutting the curb a bit, and I thought this time I won't cut that quite so much. If there's an opportunity, I'll send it down the inside, but there wasn't. So I thought best option was to try and get that late apex, because when I saw, I think Scott went up the inside there, and they were both going to run wide and be compromised. So yeah, that was the opportunity I saw right then, so I just went for it then.
Mate, when are you taking up a career of pickpocketing? Because I think you just picked everyone's pockets right there.
Oh look, I didn't think we're in the hunt. I sort of got a little bit of a bad run out of that last pit stop. Probably put a little bit too much fuel in. I was probably 6 litres too much at the end, so a bit disappointed about that. But yeah, I lost a bit of time, just a bit of traffic and the way things fell. So I was just trying my hardest to sort of try and stay in touch and maybe even pull back. And then they started fighting. Like, hey, there's something could be on here. So yeah, tried to think about it and play it smart, and in the end it worked out.
Yeah, and congrats, by the way. First win in Vets. I mean, I was hoping that was going to be the case, because you don't forget your first win in any sort of series like this, but to win it like that, you're definitely not going to forget this one. You could have asked for a better way to get it. But through this race, I mean, how much was the one thing I was wondering with this race? How much was the fuel strategy playing out for you? Were you doing a lot of fuel saving through the race, or was it just sort of go for it?
Well, in the first stint, because I sort of really felt like I was actually getting held up at one stage by them both, and I went, I'm probably still going to struggle to get the pass done. And I thought I'm better off just sitting here and just fuel saving a bit. So I fuel saved a reasonable amount in that first stint. And then I went a little bit short of fuel and tried to get track position, and I put my head down in that second one and just tried to do my own thing and just keep hitting my marks and all that sort of stuff. So at the end, I don't think there was any fuel saving going on. Definitely wasn't for me.
No, definitely not. No, it was full sends on those last few laps, as we saw. But congrats again on your first win in Vets, Jeff. Amazing result, amazingly done. Anyone you'd like to thank for that one?
Thank you guys in the broadcast. I'm looking forward to watching this one back. Thanks to the admin team. Obviously, 20 seasons now. There's been a lot of people involved, but it's been a fantastic series that I've been here since season 8, so this first win's been a long time coming. So thanks to all the admin staff, because without them we're not racing. Thanks to all the other guys racing. I didn't get to see too many of you tonight because I was having a good run, but it's always good racing. I find it's a good one and I really enjoy it. Thanks to the boys in the JWM SimSport team. Been working together a bit more this season because I'm doing East Coast, so I get to bounce off some of the younger guys a bit, trade ideas. And the big one I want to thank is Blake Warboys. His video this week gave me a few things, probably give me a couple of 10. And I'd like to thank him for that because he does a great job with his videos.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that, Jeff, and congrats again on an amazing win. And enjoy the rest of the night. Next up,
well, actually, just before we go, are we comfortable with that decision for driver of the day? I want to tell him.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Jeff, congratulations, mate. You also not just get the race win, you get the Chubby Buns driver of the day, man.
That's not bad for only picking up 2 spots.
It was the way you went about it, and first win of Vets. I think we're all sitting there celebrating with you.
Yeah.
Cool. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Cheers.
No worries, Jeff, and very, very deserving. It's no argument there. so yeah, but I guess we bring in P2 next, and that will be Kenneth Ladder. Ken, man, what a race! I think I get the feeling you could probably draw a very accurate diagram for me of what Scott Gamble's back end of his car looks like, because you were sitting behind a lot this race.
Yeah, well, I was attempting to try and save some fuel there at one stage, and and I don't know. I guess not having a very good in-lap on that last pit stop didn't help my cause at all. But it ended up being a ripper at the end, I suppose, didn't it?
Yeah, we were losing our minds a little bit calling that one, but yeah, it made for some great racing. As you say, fuel save sort of race. We were seeing you doing that throughout the race. Were you a bit short on fuel there at the end? Because we thought we saw you having to lift a little bit there in that last stint.
Just a little. Look, it was only like 0.1, 0.2, and I had to sort of just not push as hard as I was to try and sort of get that back. Then obviously they allowed Scotty to sort of jump on me a little bit quicker than I'd hoped, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, but then obviously cracking duel to the end, and as we were watching, we saw Jeff in the background. We're like, he's in the perfect spot if things kick off to steal the win, and in the end he did. But I mean, that close, 3 drives that close after an hour 14 of racing on a circuit, that's crazy to me to see. So it's kudos to you guys for keeping such a good pace, and it's. You tried your hardest. A bit of door banging. There was I think you guys probably door banged about 6 or 7 times in a few laps there. So I honestly was kind of surprised that you guys didn't get damaged from that, to be honest. But
no,
it was still clean.
No, the car I think was completely clean. Like it was an incident-free race. Obviously it was a bit wild there in that last 2 laps, particularly just before the windy stuff on the second last lap, where we basically got drawn right up to the wall. So no one was willing to give up anything, and I had to just about put almost first gear for the next corner when it was like a 3rd gear corner. But it was all in good fun. We've got to try and take it to him because he had a big season last year where he won so many races, and something's got to change there. So and the only way he can do that is get involved. Yeah.
Well, the trend's already been bucked already in the first race, so already on the way there already. And speaking of on the way, Detroit, the next race, complete flip of Fuji. Now you got this bumpy, tight street circuit, one that you're looking forward to.
Yeah, I don't overly like those particular tracks, but I always seem to be quick there. And there's concrete walls everywhere, as you know, and it's so easy to make mistakes. But I guess it must suit my style to a point, so bring it on.
It's funny you say that. I have tracks that I feel the exact same. I don't like them, but then I race them. I seem to have decent pace, so I really get you on that one. It's a conflicting feeling. You're like, I don't like this track, but I seem to do well. So cool. so I get you on that one. But well done again. Anyway, either way, Ken, on that great race, awesome 2nd place. Anyone you want to thank for that?
Just all the guys for chucking it back on again this year. I know it's a lot of background work. you guys, Race Control, all the guys at Fishy. We've got a few new guys that's just joined, and a big shout out to them. And of course our sponsors, if I can find them. West Ham Motor Group, Infinity Design, DC Shades, Battery Warehouse, Ellie Beach, Precision Sim Training, and that's it. Thank you.
You did better than I do with that. I always forget that sponsor bit every time. They ask and I'm like, it's not good, but I always do the same. So I get it. But no, congrats again, Ken. Enjoy, and see you hopefully next week. Thanks, Scott.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
No worries. And Scott, I think I'll let you into the other Scott. Scott. Let's do it.
You're having a bit of a gamble with asking me to interview this guy. Mate,
Yes.
Interesting race there tonight. Strategy played a big old hand in it. Ken jumped you in terms of the pit stops. You always knew he was going to be fuel saving, but he undercut a little bit, gave you an opportunity, and, well, it's about aggressiveness. I mean, that move down at turn 10, the kink, there was an overlap, there was an opportunity. He got the car down there, but that's car racing, isn't it?
Yeah, how you going, Scotty? Yeah, there was a nice little bump there, and pushed his way through, and just enough to unsettle it and get on through. But yeah, good move for him, and kudos to him. He was definitely desperate for the win, but has to go out to Jeff. He done extremely well, put himself in there and drove a race and got it at the line. So congratulations to Jeff,
Mate, defending champion this season, different mindset. Obviously, not going to go quite so hard. I mean, I know how much work you've been putting into the Pro Series and everything else at the moment. Fuji, interesting track, a lot of draft, a lot of overtaking opportunity, but we're heading to Detroit Belle next week for sprint races at a street circuit. Two very different styles of races. How's the confidence level?
Yeah, I don't mind the street circuits. I know Macca over at 9.5, he loves them. He's got a bit of a redemption there. So he's very fast there. So yeah, looking forward to the street circuit. Like you said, Fuji is one of those tracks that's really difficult to break the draft, and the draft's long. And like, it can be over 2-second draft when you're going down that straight. So it's it was a tough track. We always knew this one was going to be hard, but I was really happy with the race and the way it went, and the strategy in it. It was good fun, and the guys raced hard. Like Ken, he's really wants to. Obviously he had his elbows out, you could clearly see that, and he didn't mind getting a bump on down the straight, and that's I guess what goes around comes around. But it was really good to see the other drivers up there. Dan Hall in fourth, he done really well as well. So looking forward to the rest of the season, and looking forward to racing with Macca in here in Vets and having two cars take on those Fishy boys.
I was going to ask you about that a little bit. I mean, he qualified inside the 10. How was the chat? Because obviously you guys would have been chatting a fair bit throughout things. Race didn't go to plan for him, but did it flip? Is it about him sorting you? Is there any... I've raced with guys, I'm sure Hinsey will say the same, I'm sure Dan will actually say the same as well, but you race with a couple guys sometimes, and sometimes they take you to another level, sometimes they're there to bring you down. What's that relationship like with Sean?
We're out there to have fun, Scotty. So we're out there, we enjoy racing together. We've known each other for a very long time, and yeah, it's a real pleasure to race with Macca and the crew over at 9.5. They're a top bunch of lads. So yeah, for us, I think it's, whoever's got the best opportunity to on the night, if the other driver can support them, they will. And if it comes down to it, we're going to race each other at times too. That's the nature of the beast, and have fun doing it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how Sean goes and adapting. Because he's been out of Vets. He only done 4 races in it, so it's been a while for him to race in Vets and get back into the swing of things.
Is there a little bit of come on, mate, come chase me? Now you got to come out here, go after me.
I think he might be fairly determined when we hit those street circuits, mate. So yeah, I hope so, and I'm looking forward to him doing well.
Mate, as usual, man, phenomenal race again. Bumping doors at 250 kilometers an hour is not something I'm quite well known for, but that was awesome to watch. Congratulations tonight, mate. Who would you like to thank?
Yeah, thank you very much. Shout out to all the drivers. Season 20, it's a big milestone. 20 seasons here in V8 Vets. That's awesome. To our sponsors over at 9.5 SimSport, I'd like to thank RaceKraft, Turn-In Apparel, RSW Graphics, Racing Ears, and Prestige Cinematography. Thank you very much to you guys over at SimSpeed. Love watching your broadcasts. It's absolutely awesome, and look forward to not only watching the Vets ones, but the other ones that you also broadcast. And yeah, that's it, mate. Congratulations to it can, and also to to Jeff. He drove awesome tonight. So kudos to them.
Mate, congratulations. We'll see you again next week, I'm sure.
All right, thanks guys.
And there you go. Yeah, that's the interviews done, and I guess just before we wrap, just final thoughts, Scott. That was, I mean, again, how else do you can't really beat a season intro more than that. I think that's about the best season intro you can really have. We had some spills, had some spins, didn't have any safety cars, but it does show you don't need safety cars to make it exciting.
I think the safety car percentage for next week's like 500%. So.
Yeah.
By the way, I want to say big shout out as well to all the sponsors. SimSpeed, Bin the Blade for Balin, RaceKraft, who come on board as primary sponsor a couple seasons ago. They've been huge for the league, and everyone that really makes it possible over here at Vets as well. We've got a huge admin team. I got to hang out with them in the off season, and they wanted to come learn how to drive oval. So we actually did some Xfinity racing in the off season, which was just really, really awesome, and love the community here, Hensies. So I'm glad that you'll get involved with it. It's always love sharing this place with new people.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited to be involved with it and to get back into this and all that. It's something that I've wanted to get back into for a while, and it's been I mean, a great intro back with this. I certainly had the great racing to bring me back to cool. So hopefully I did it justice. That's all I can hope for the league's sake and just for the racing sake. I hope I did it justice. But next round, obviously, is next week at Detroit Belle Isle for the second round of season 20, kicking off at 8:30 again as usual. As we say, complete opposite to Fuji. We had a nice, open, wide, smooth Fuji purpose-built racetrack. Next week, it's to the tight, twisty, bumpy streets of Detroit Belle Isle. So we'll see. Could be a bit of a flip in the order of who's quick, who's not, as it is, as we say, a totally different track. Not only the track, but also the race format. We got, as we say, 2 sprint races. So totally different strategy. It's just all out, gung-ho from the get-go. And who will come out on top, I guess we'll find out. As I say, Ken was not very confident by the sounds, but as I said to him, I totally get it. You go to a track and you're like, I don't really like that track, but then you do well at it. And it's like, well, I guess, cool. So I'm sure he'll be up there. Obviously, Scotty will be up there. I mean, who else could be in there, Scotty? It'll be a very, very... Anyone
can finish on the podium at Belle Isle. That's the big thing. You've got to survive. First, you've got to race that track. And new damage model. I'm expecting a really, really high rate of attrition next week, just because of when this race happens. If this race happens another 2 months from now, I think we're okay. I think the attrition rate's actually quite a bit lower. But you've got to remember, new damage models just crept in, right? So I think just the timing of this one. This is one of forget it. I actually think Long Beach is easier to drive on the new damage model than this place is. So I think this is the most complex, difficult place to race on the new damage model, full stop.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. It's really a trial by fire. Like that. I mean, this one, Fuji, obviously nice and wide open, so it's a lot easier to avoid those big dramas with the new damage model, and that's probably why we didn't see huge dramas outside of a couple of things in the first few laps and a couple of incidents here and there tonight. But obviously next week, as you say, totally different ball game, complete flip on that, and it's really going to test their mettle on keeping a clean car, getting used to the new damage model, and getting them to races fast. So it's going to be a fascinating one to watch. I'm sure the racing will be just as crazy, if not more so, and I'm very excited for that next week. But I think that about wraps it up for tonight from V8 Veterans Season 20, first race of the season. Amazing comeback for this new season, an amazing first race. Can Scotty Gamble fight back and get that win again after his dominance last season, after getting a bit usurped here tonight? Well, tune in next week and find out. Well, thank you very much for you guys for watching. I've been Thomas Hinn, Scott Rankin, behind me, beside me. Jeez, I'm getting all sorts confused. My mind is a mess after that finish of this race. Daniel Yeaman producing behind the cameras. Awesome stuff from him as usual. Hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys next time here on SimSpeed TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.